Today has already been awesome. I joined I joined Zoom. It's like, like there's that pop-up that appeared like accept cookies. I'm like, accept, I like cookies. By the way, even though I'm the one who made the joke, it still made me laugh of like, you're pooping, aren't you?
That is now the title of this episode.
Really? Oh, I love it. That's a very crappy title.
I agree. I'm really excited about today.
I'm not. I'm super depressed. Life sucks. It's horrible.
Well, maybe you should just poop more.
Oh, I did. Why do you think I waited until 10:05 to contact you? It's funny because it sounds like I'm kidding, but I'm really not. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, this guy, like, all right, it's a 3-day challenge he's doing, 1 hour every day.
Mhm.
And I don't know how effective it is, but he's getting people to like go from picking your ideal client and like all those things on day one to creating the offer on day two to launching it on day three. So they're literally creating and launching everything in 3 hours.
Wow.
So I don't know how effective it's going to be, but just reminds me we're wasting so much time.
Yeah. All right, so let's create this and launch it in 3 hours.
Why did I have to say that?
Okay, so what I realized, our ideal client is not
Our ideal client is an idiot. That's why they're perfect for us.
there's two different kinds of people we're helping. The people that have been helping now are not our ideal client. I'm great at helping them, but those are the people we're nurturing into high-end clients. So there's a client who doesn't know what business they're in. So they're having a hard time finding clients because they don't actually know what it is that they can do that actually helps people, that moves the needle. So
Sorry, everything you're saying makes sense and I agree, but it's just for some reason I can't be serious right now. And like you're explaining this, and I'm like, yeah, that's totally true. And in my head, I'm just thinking pooping is fun.
So this is our poop customer. So what we want to do is we get them in our funnel, like they check out the Facebook page, they see a post or whatever, and then we've got to qualify them, and we know that they're either going to go here or they're going to go here. Now here's our high ticket clients. These people have an established business. They have leads. Who want what they have. But they have no messaging or unclear messaging. And what I do is I help you get your messaging fixed, and then we create an asset that you can use over and over. Like, they already done the work, they've built a business, they already have people who are interested in what they have, but they don't have a way to take these leads and turn them into clients. They're missing the marketing piece, basically. So they've already got people, they've already got a community, they've already got word of mouth happening. People are aware of them, but their conversion process is bad, either because they don't have follow-up, they don't have our community hub where people can be around each other, or they just straight up don't have like a marketing campaign. So what I realized is that the three biggest projects where I can demonstrate results are Bible Lab, I produced like a pilot series of Guillaume Sauvé entered the waiting room.
Yeah, I just realized I need to join on my computer if I'm able to screen share the video once we're doing the webinar.
What is this? Okay. So with Bible Lab, there was already an established audience of about 400. And then we pushed what they were doing out to YouTube and got in front of 500,000 new people. And then with La Sierra, again, like I produced a half-hour broadcast from scratch that sold students on the film program, and we got like 22 high-ticket clients out of that. Basically, 22 new students enrolled, doubled the size of the film department. They were like 24, 25 students for several years. I came in, they had no marketing. I
Dude,
built.
sorry, there's a notification that popped up saying introducing Zoom whiteboard. This could be good when you're teaching because you like to use whiteboards. Like, I don't know how good it is, but this could be good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's just because the pop-up just appeared. And I'm like, well, that's convenient. You're on the whiteboard right now. There's a whiteboard in Zoom.
And then, so because of the Bible Lab, Roy got his job as the host of Lifestyle Magazine, which is the only life coaching TV program on broadcast television. He now has an audience of like 4.1 million viewers as a direct result of the work that I did to make this into a product. It was just an in-person gathering that was meeting every weekend. And he already had a podcast. He was already recording the sessions every week. I came in and I helped train the production crew that were recording the audio. Like a lot of great things are already happening before I got there. And when I came in, I said, all right, let's do a demo pilot series of this as like a TV program. And that TV program is what got him the job as the TV host at this new organization. So he went from an audience of 400 to getting in front of 500,000 new people. And that actually got him the job that now he has a audience of 4.1 million. Last year, I got them 22 new high-ticket clients. I mean, let's see. If I did the math on that, I think it's more than, I'm pretty sure tuition is more than this, but if it's 16,000 a semester times 22, that's 12, 2, 3, 16, it's another 12, 2, 3. So that's 2, 5, 100, $352,000. That's a $352,000 product launch, basically.
Wow.
Assuming that was what this, I mean, tuition is probably more than that. I should look it up. I should call Rodney, ask him what enrollment was the year before and what the year was after, and then find out what the tuition rates were. I even have like screen grabs of like the Facebook analytics. So I know what the conversion rates are. We had like 731 people saw the video. Only about 10% clicked on it. Most of them only watched for about 10 seconds. We had about 22 concurrent viewers that like just kept watching it. And then the film program doubled that year.
Nice.
Because they had no marketing. They were a film and television degree program and they had no marketing whatsoever. It's like, that's kind of silly, but that's literally why he got me involved. Was like, it's really sad that we're like the TV department and we don't have any commercials or any kind of promo material.
I'm just trying to see, how do we describe that? Like, how do we explain that to someone of like, this is what we do?
Well,
everyone's like, oh, I helped you scale from like 10K a month to 50K a month or whatever. But it's just like, that's been done to death. Like, how do we explain it?
know. I kind of feel like this is something I should just ask people. Like, I don't know what to do with this. I mean, I could start a video agency, but like,
I don't know what to do with this. Want to pay me like $50,000 to figure it out? What if? Hmm. Okay, this is probably a different business, but what if like what you do is you help successful entrepreneurs who want to reach a like way bigger mass and have a way bigger impact? It's like, all right, I help you launch like a TV show so you can reach millions of people. Like maybe that's a completely different business and maybe it's not really what we want or should be doing, but like if you're able to offer that to the right people, you could charge a lot for this.
Say that again.
I don't know. I forget everything I say the moment I say it. No, I was just saying, like, I don't know if this is the right business, if this is what we should be doing, but it's like, if this is something you can offer to the right people and you can deliver, it's like, you can charge a lot for this. You could charge 50,000, like 100,000 of like, all right, you're a successful entrepreneur. You've made like millions, but you want to have a bigger impact. You want to reach a bigger audience. The way to do that, have your own TV show. I've done it before, help a guy go from 400 to 4 million. Let me do it for you. Here's everything you're getting. My server costs $1,000. I'm just wondering, like, how does it make sense to tie this in with the business that we're currently building, or is it something separate? Like maybe some of the people that go through our program and everything, like we'll get to the point where it's like you can offer that and it makes sense, but I don't know if it's a clear evolution that everyone would like go towards, you know?
Yeah, I feel like this is like, okay, so this is what I'm capable of giving you. You're probably not ready for this. So like you come through this process and then you'll be at a place where hopefully you'll be able to work with me at this level where you've got enough of the right things going that it's worth my time to like, we'll sit down for 3 months and we'll create something like super high end and professional. But so then when we're basically creating the filter system where it's like we want to get paid to qualify people down into our lead nurture. So what we're doing with the Facebook group is we want to create these clients that are ready to do that.
Okay. And my question is, do you want to help people do that, or do you want to do that yourself?
Be a little more specific when you say do that.
Well, I mean, would you want to, you know, launch your own TV show?
Launch my own TV show?
Yeah, because you can do it for other people, but do you want to do it yourself?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think on some level, our YouTube channel is the TV show. It just, I haven't figured out how to.
It's just very crappy.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't figured, I mean, that's essentially what I do. It's like, what is the bare minimum amount of effort that it takes to create tons of content? And it's like, what we're doing right now is just creating a huge catalog of, I mean, even this YouTube channel, it's like nobody would watch this, but I can cite the numbers of like, you know how many hours of content I've generated in the last 6 weeks? It's like, you're not my target
some
audience.
people actually watch, like videos get a couple of views. Like, I don't know how far they watch. They probably just click for like a couple of seconds and then leave, but
Yeah.
there's actual views on videos.
Yeah, we actually have some weird analytics on, like, I don't know who is watching our stuff. Certainly not me. Like,
not me either.
Some people watch and it could just be like people who click on watch for 10 seconds. And it's like, just that little bit of,
Can't you see the average watch time? Doesn't that show up? Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Like, I wonder if anyone's watched like the entire, like, a full video that we made. I
I don't
doubt
think
it.
so. I don't think anybody has. It's usually like, yeah, average view duration 0. Okay. Go
Alright, now I'm curious,
to
let me go
video
check.
analytics.
I mean, that's for mine because I don't have access to yours, but I'm just curious.
Watch time 13 hours. Somebody's watched like something. 83 views. So between 83 people who were like sort of curious, we had, yeah, like Sunday and Saturday, like we had 11 people stumble across our channel. Like, what the hell?
That's the thing, like, if you create content, some people are gonna watch it, like, it's
Yeah, exactly.
probably not gonna be a lot, but
Views, watch time. So nothing interesting. I was sick all night. Got 3.7 hours of watch time. Impressions, click-through rate, 14.1%. That's a really good click-through rate. 64, 40, 14, 10, 11. Our click-through rates are like, there's a handful of things that are like less than, they're like 2%, 3%, 5%, but like there's a significant amount of our videos that are like well over 10% up into like the 15. I'd say at least
nice.
40% of our videos get a really hot, like, and we're not even trying to do anything yet. It's like
We're not
just,
even
we're just like
trying.
crapping out content.
And that's the thing, that's what I've discovered, like, seemingly useless. Like, I've published a bunch of shorts when I was traveling, whenever like I see something, it's like, it's literally like 10 seconds of me filming a crab as an example.
Mhm.
It's like, how does that get 4,000 views? I don't get it. Like, to me,
Yeah.
it makes no sense. But that's the thing, like, that's how I got most of my like subscribers. I'm at 242.
Mhm.
It's like I would have probably still 7 like I did when I started if I only did long videos. Because it's like people want to watch shorts.
Mhm.
They really don't care.
We've gotten
No, I don't know. It's not
in the
important, but it's just
last
funny.
in the last 90 days, we've gotten 268 views, 31 watch time hours.
31. Whoa. Some people
Yeah.
are actually watching this.
Yeah, some people are like,
Okay,
there's
hold on.
there's
Let me
one,
just put this out
two,
there. If you're watching this right now or in the future, please leave a comment below telling us why. Because we wouldn't watch it. We're just putting our friendship out there because that's what we do anyway. So we have nothing to lose by putting it on YouTube. We're just wondering, like, what is in this for you? What do you get out of this?
apparently it's just like random people will click on and then just stay on. Cause there's like a bunch of videos that have like over an hour of watch time. Like 2.2 hours, 2.4 hours, 1.2 hours, 1 hour, 1.7 hours, 3.1 hour. Like these are all different videos. 3.7 hours. So they watched like, good Lord. 1.1,
Like,
1.4,
if you're the
1.7,
one who
1.2.
watched 3 hours in one of their videos, like, that's impressive. Like,
Yeah, okay.
no,
Yeah,
do not
if
do
you are
that.
watching this, we're doing this because we're friends and we have fun talking. But if you're actually, if you watch this for a while, like if you're doing dishes or like you're just sitting at your computer watching because there's nothing else to watch, like leave a comment. We'll say hi to you. We will interact with you as a regular human being, and we'd like to make friends with you. We'd like to know you. I mean, if you're actually watching this to get some sort of business advice out of it, like reach out to us and like we'd be happy to help you for sure. It's just weird to me that we're not trying to get anybody's attention, and yet we've gotten 268 people watching us
And
have spent
And now to ruin everything you just said, if you're watching our videos, get a life. I'm sorry, I had to go there.
Yeah, no, if it was me, I'd be like, I don't know. I mean,
That's the thing. We like our conversation, there's a lot of value in there. It's
mhm.
usually maybe like 10% of the entire conversation that's actually valuable. So it's like if
Well,
we
that's
would want
valuable
to
to
create,
us, but apparently it's valuable to other people just to hear us talk. Maybe none of the business stuff is valuable at all. Maybe just us talking and being friends is what people want to see. I have no idea. So if you're actually watching this, if you click on this and you like checking us out, leave a comment. Please tell us why you're watching. Because apparently people are watching and we have no idea why.
yeah, it's like tell us why,
Mhm.
because we have no idea.
Yeah. We have no idea why we're doing this in the first place.
Uh,
Okay, so I wish there was a way to see. This is the one thing that YouTube does not let you do unless you're monetized, is see total total hours uploaded. I don't know what I need to start a spreadsheet basically and just tally them all.
really?
Because I did it a couple weeks ago and we were at something like 80 hours. We're probably more like 120 now.
Yeah, because if we do like 3 to 5 hours per day,
Mhm.
those are fast.
Yeah. Okay. Well, enough talking about our YouTube channel. Let's like start working through the what do you call it? The perfect webinar framework.
All right, so I guess I should screen share. Well, first, hold on, let me turn off the porn and then I'll screen share. I always have to go there. I don't know why. All right, perfect webinar. Plug in. All right, so let me screen share. Actually, you're probably gonna have to give me permission to do that. Yep.
Security. All right. You should be able to share screen now. Suspend participant activities.
You know what we should do? Like once we become rich, we should just hire like a posse, and whenever we make jokes like security, they just can't like come in and like, they just stand around until we say something that makes sense for them to come in.
Oh man. I wonder
Right.
if if we put like the Zoom link in the description every time we go live. Be like, hey, join us. I mean, I feel like you could get Zoom bombers, but
I feel like we don't have anything to lose. If we see it's a problem, we just go
yeah, just
back
stop
and
doing
delete
it.
them, and that's it. So you can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
All right, let's begin. I listen to things at 3 times speed just because it's easier. If you're not used to it, if you want, we can try like 1.5 or 2 just to save a little time.
I didn't understand what you said.
I play
listen.
videos
Oh,
at
listen to it
3
at
times speed.
fast speed. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
So I'll just put it up to 2 for now.
All right. If you are watching this, we're trying to build a webinar based off
All
of.
right.
Oh, I was just explaining what we're doing in case there's
Okay.
somebody watching this. So we're trying to launch a product and
No,
build a
we're not
webinar.
trying. We are.
We are launching a product. We've been talking about and building for a while, and we're trying to market it now. And we are marketing. It's just we're building the webinar. I need to remove trying from my vocabulary.
Yeah, it's like I just managed to do it because I did it so often in the past, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. So I conditioned myself to stop doing it. And even now, I like catch myself. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to. No, wait, I am doing this.
Mhm.
All right, so ready? Set, go.
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be hearing anything or not, but I don't hear
Sure.
anything.
I didn't hear what you said.
I don't know if I'm supposed to be hearing the audio, but I don't hear any audio.
Oh, yes, you are supposed to be hearing the audio.
Let's see, view options.
Hold on, maybe if I put it to normal speed, let me try for a few seconds. Did you hear it? No, okay, that's weird. Uh, share sound. All right, let's try again.
Funnel like yours. And I was like, no, you need to do a webinar. And she's
Okay, so let's restart then.
Hey, this is Russell Brunson, and I want to officially welcome you to the Perfect Webinar Secrets Training. And this is one I'm really excited to do for a lot of reasons. Number one, I remember when I first learned this. I'll talk about my story here in a little bit, but I remember how exciting it was. I was like finding all the pieces. And for me, this was probably a 12 to 15-year journey, me like learning a piece from this person, a piece from this person, and I started learning all these things and putting together into my own presentation. And my presentations got better and better and better for over a decade. And it was funny because every time I get a new product or a new service, I would go try to reinvent the way I would take this template, is this kind of a framework that I built. I plug in a new product, new service, and it would just work. And for a long time, it was just me. I just did it for myself. I never showed anyone else. I never told anybody else. But I got really, really good at selling from stages. And then what's interesting is, man, probably 7 or 8 years ago now, when I first started my inner circle coaching program, and at the time I was teaching people how to do all sorts of funnels and things like that. And there's one person that joined my program, and some of you guys know her. Her name is Liz Benny. And Liz came in, she's like, okay, I'm gonna build a funnel like yours. And I was like, no, you need to do a webinar. And she's like, what? Like, you're having everybody else do these other kind of funnels. I was like, I know, but you need to be doing webinars. Like, you're a webinar person. I can see by the way, your charisma, how excited you are. Like, you need to be someone who should be on camera, like, doing webinars and doing presentations. I can see you on stage someday. And she's like, well, how do I do a webinar? And at the time, I didn't know how to teach somebody that. So I literally sat down the very first time. I doodled out, took my framework, took all my notes from all my presentations, and I mapped out the doodle you will get here in a minute. It's the perfect webinar doodle. And then the next night, I recorded myself training on how to use the framework. I sent that to Liz. She watched it. She created her first presentation. That went on to win multiple Comma Club awards. And I've seen her now use that framework over and over and over again. And after she had so much success, I'm like, how do you do a webinar, Russ? I was like, well, it's the perfect webinar. Don't mess with it. This is how it works. I started sharing with more people, and started getting more feedback. And it was so much fun to see working in different industries and things like that. And fast forward a few years later, it was the very first time I wrote the first Expert Seekers book, for those who have it. And it's the first time I ever said, I'm going to actually, that's not true. The first .com Seekers book was the first time I wrote kind of briefly like the basics of the perfect webinar script. And I remember a couple years later, Dan Henry told me, he's like, I bought the .com Seekers book. I read the chapter on the perfect webinar. It made sense to me. I went to the webinar, and I think in like 4 or 5 months, he had 2 Comma Club. His story was like, I was a pizza man, and then I read .com Seekers book, and now boom, like that perfect webinar was everything for me. And so my second book, Expert Seekers, I want to focus more on how people can sell and do persuasion and things like that. So if you read the Expert Secrets book, the main framework that I teach, the main way I sell is through the perfect webinar. So this book is literally like the guidebook on how to do the perfect webinar. And what's fun is I wrote it in the Expert Secrets book. We launched that book, sold over 100,000 copies, and I watched over the next 2 years as literally thousands and thousands and thousands of people took this webinar in every market you can dream of. Like markets didn't make any logical sense to me. B2B, B2C, physical price, supplements, like everything you can dream of, people were using it, and it was working. And then a little while later, as you guys heard the story, Jamie Cross, she tried the perfect webinar. She was selling soap, and it didn't work for her soap business. So she took the 90-minute perfect webinar and she shrunk it down to a 5-minute mini version, and it worked for her. And she went to Comma Club with a 5-minute perfect webinar. And anyways, it was so much fun. And I never updated the perfect webinar training other than when I kind of wrote it on the book and a couple other places like that. And recently I had a chance actually with Expert Secrets to go back and write a new version. And so if you have the hardbound version, this is the most updated one. And when I did this updated one, it's cool because the first time I created the perfect webinar and I taught it and I showed people it was based on my own experiences. After I had a chance to use it with literally tens of thousands of people now around the world in every market you can dream of, I've got so much feedback and intel, and I made the perfect webinar even more perfect. And that's what I want to show you guys today is that framework. Now, if you have the updated hardbound book, this is the one where I walk through. If you don't have, go to expertsecrets.com. It's free plus shipping. Go and get it. I go slide by slide in more detail here, so it'll give you more insights. But I want to do this training because I got so many people who want to do webinar trying to figure it out. I thought, I'm going to show the updated version of this and how it works and kind of all the intricacies, and hopefully you guys love it. So that's why I put together this product, and I'm excited to share it with you guys. I hope you're half as excited as I am. Literally this script, this presentation, this process I'm going to share you guys to change my life. It's how we build ClickFunnels, and I've seen it build and hundreds, if not thousands of people and help them win 2 Comma Club. So I'm excited to share it with you guys. So here is the title slide: Perfect Webinar Secrets. Discover how to use the same webinar script that we've used to sell everything from courses to coaching to software and supplements, and I can go on and a whole bunch more. Right? And so that's what you're going to be learning about over the next hour or so. I've got a couple different videos that I want you to go through in a PDF that you'll be able to use as kind of a framework as you're going through this, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So with that said, buckle up your seatbelt and we're going to get started. So first you have to understand is there's 2 types of selling, right? There's one-to-one selling. This is what most people are traditionally used to. Like you see somebody face to face and you sell them one-on-one. Okay, this is what I'm not good at. Get this picture of me. Look how awkward. Like I'm talking to someone one-on-one, and this is awkward. Introverted Russell's like, I don't know what to say. I'm super awkward. I got that picture. I was like, oh, I just feel awkward in that picture. It's such a Russell, such a me thing. I had a chance. You'll see some pictures speaking in front of 9,000 people, in front of 35,000 people. I feel super comfortable. Then someone off stage says hi to me. I'm like, I don't know how to talk. So I'm not the best one-on-one salesperson. Okay, you're speaking one-on-one with somebody. You have a chance to ask them questions, figure out their concerns, and resolve those concerns in a really cool way. You can't do that when you're selling to the masses. Okay, so but what I'm teaching you guys is called one-to-many selling. So this is a picture of me in front of 9,000 people, right? One-to-many selling, and it's different because I don't have the ability to ask all 9,000 people what their concerns are and resolve their concerns. Instead, I have to make a presentation and craft stories in a way that take the core false beliefs the audience has, break them, and then rebuild them with new beliefs that'll get them to be able to take the action I need them to take so they can be successful. Okay, so it's different. So one-on-one, I'm not the guy who's going to be the best in the world teaching one-on-one, but I think I'm the person who's the best in the world at teaching you how to do one-to-many selling because well, I have the record for the most money ever made from stage in a single time. So I'm good at it, but it's something that it's really not that difficult. In fact, this script you're going to be learning is the script I use word for word every single time. Okay, and before we started, I want to stress. Re-emphasize the fact that I am an extreme introvert. Okay, this should be comforting for any of you guys who don't feel comfortable selling from stage. Okay, when I was getting started in this game, I was trying all sorts of things. I was trying to figure out how to make money, and I really struggled. In fact, I remember I went to my very first internet marketing event, and I'm the guy in the back, and I think I got some pictures here. Yeah, there's me like glasses on. Most times I wore like a shirt and tie because I thought that's what you have to do in business. So I wore shirt and tie, white shirt, and I go sit at these business conferences with my laptop out, and I'd be taking notes. And I remember the very first event I ever went to, thinking there was just going to be a thing for me to take notes and learn some internet nerdy stuff. The first speaker got on stage, and he started his presentation. I'm taking notes as fast as I could. He does his presentation. At the end of the presentation, he sells something, and he closes. And I see people jump into the back and start running to the back of the room. So he hasn't heard me tell the story before. And I do the math, counting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, the $2,000 offer. And by the time he was done, the guy made like $60,000 or $70,000. And I was just like, what just happened? I just witnessed something that was crazy, right? The next next guy gets on stage, he does his presentation, he sells a $5,000 course. He has like 30 people run the back. I'm doing the math, 5, 10, 15, 20. I'm like, that was over $100,000. Now for me at that time, I was like, my parents maybe made $100,000 a year. And I saw a human being stand on stage for 90 minutes and he did it in an hour and a half. And I remember thinking, I have to learn how to, like, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm scared. It's awkward. But if there's a human being who's just like me, who can stand on that stage, give a presentation, make more in an hour than my parents make in an entire year, I have to learn that skill. And so it started me on this journey, right? I had to learn that skill. And it's taken me a long time. I was not a natural at this. In fact, do you guys want to see the first time that I spoke on stage? It's kind of embarrassing. So there's 2 videos here. I'll show you the first one here. This is the very first event I was in. These events were this was the night before the night. I did a little private presentation for a little small group. So this is me again, shirt and tie. That's what business people have to do, I thought. So let me show you this first one quick, and I'll come back on the second clip. But what I wanted to talk about tonight is kind of a broad overview, hopefully help you to get better information of the whole internet marketing business. This is a lot bigger group than I had planned on. Okay, so that was pretty bad. Let me show you guys the very first time I tried to sell something, because I think that may have even been worse. This was the next day. I had a different tie on, because you have different ties for different days. Probably the same shirt, I don't know. And this was the very first time I tried to sell something from stage. So I'd seen people do it. So I was like, oh, I know how to do this. This is easy. Like, if they can do it, I can do it. Like, I'm as smart as them, right? And so I did this. And here's a clip of me the very first time I tried to close the room. Okay, am I getting close on time? If you do join the affiliate bootcamp, it'll give you lifelong training. It's a $47 a month value. You'll get it for free. Who would like a piece of that? Here's my irresistible offer. And hopefully you guys learned a lot from this presentation.
Give him a standing ovation. You did a great job.
All right. Who wants a piece of that? Seriously, that's like I guarantee that any of you today could do better than that Russell did right there. But the difference is that Russell was like, I have to figure this out. And so despite the fact I got knocked down twice that weekend, I got back up and I tried it again, and I tried it again, and I tried it again, and I became obsessed with it. And every time I did, I would learn different things, right? Different ways I present. I sit in the audience. There's usually 10 or 20 speakers, and watch every speaker speak and see what they did, how they presented, how they moved their hands, how they got people to move to the back room. I take notes, not what they were teaching, but how they were teaching it, right? And I started joining every single public speaking course I could find. I found the people that were the best, and I called them on the phone, I picked their brains, I paid them money, like whatever I could figure it out. And for the next 10 years, so I was going on this process, learning the pieces and getting the piece here, a piece here, a piece here. Every time I find something that would work, it became part of my control. So for me, control is the thing that works, right? Like I'm building a funnel out. Like for example, when I book funnels, like I have a control. I know that this is the best converting funnel, this type of funnel that I know of right now. So we start that, we build that first, and then sometimes we'll test and tweak things on top of it, right? So my presentation, even though I sold tons of different products in that decade, I had the same presentation, my same slides. I just replaced things, and I knew that this framework kind of worked, right? So I had that framework, I would just use it. And then as I had different product services, I go back and I take the framework, I would plug things in and it would work again. And as I learned something new, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I added to the framework, So for me, my framework back then was just slides. I kept tweaking it, to the point where I feel like I could plug any product, any service into my slide deck, and I can make money with it. And that's kind of where I was at about that time. And fast forward now. Man, from when I got started, from these pictures right here to this right here, which happened a little while ago, where I had a chance to speak on Grant Cardone stage in front of 9,000 people, and I set a world record doing $3.2 million in sales in 90 minutes. So I went from this guy right here to this guy right here, just by practicing over and over and over and over and over again until I had perfected a script. Okay. Now I wanted to share this with you guys, not because I don't want this to be an income claim. This is not something none of you guys. I guarantee none of you make $3.2 million in 90 minutes. In fact, you do, I would be angry because that's my record. You cannot break it. And there's a lot of good things going for me. In fact, I had 9,000 people in the room. Like that's amazing, right? I've been practicing for decades. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, right? I'm not saying you're gonna learn that, but you are gonna learn the framework that I use to be able to do that. Okay. And I've seen tons of people who come to our programs who plug in their product, their services into our framework, and it's worked for them. So hopefully that kind of sets us up and gets you guys excited about what you're gonna learn about today. And then I forgot to tell. So this happened 3.2 90 minutes. 30 days later, we did Funnel Hacking Live. I don't talk about this one as much. This is our own personal event. And at this event, I did a 90-minute presentation. They did over $12 million in sales. And so, yeah, the process works. Different products, same framework, boom, same results 30 days later. Okay, so it's pretty cool. The other thing is, I know a lot of you guys think, Russ, I don't think I'm going to be speaking on stage. That's not something that happens in my industry, or that's not something I want to do. And that's okay, because even if you're not going to do it there, this presentation is the same framework I use inside of my webinars. Okay, like literally, if you look at this is my webinar funnel, that video presentation in my webinar funnel is literally the presentation I did at TEDx event, right? And this one is the version of me on stage. I have another version of me just doing my PowerPoint slides, but it's the same presentation, same framework, same everything. So it doesn't matter if you're speaking on stage or if you're on a webinar or teleseminar, the framework works. It's perfect. That's what we call the perfect secrets. That's what we call it, perfect webinar. It's funny because I have friends who have taken it and they're like, yeah, use a perfect webinar, kill it. I'm like, sweet. And they message me a little while later, like, hey, so I was taking the perfect webinar, I made some changes and some tweaks. I'm like, wait. So you're telling me you took something that's literally called the perfect webinar and you tweaked it and you changed it? And they're like, yeah, I'm like, okay, so finish your sentence. They're like, yeah, it didn't work for some reason. I'm like, yeah, weird. Don't ruin it. Don't mess it up. It's perfect. Just use it the way it was meant to be used. So again, it works great for webinars, which is why a lot of you guys are genius because you want to do webinar presentations. And so the same framework is the same thing. The cool thing about webinars, like the fact that I had a chance to speak over here in front of 9,000 people, or the next year 10x I spoke in front of 35,000 people. Like, that's amazing, right? That's a cool thing. Doesn't happen to most people. But what is cool is the fact that a webinar up, you start driving paid ads to it. You can speak to that cool on that stage every single month, right? This is the picture here. I think of the year. So 1.16 million visitors go through. So that's 96,832 visitors per month registered, that came to this funnel and saw the presentation. Okay, so that's 10 times more people per month than me standing on stage for 9,000 people. Okay, so this webinar actually makes me way more money than my stage presentation. The stage one's just one that's more exciting to talk about. But we guys understand that. Like that's why this skill set is so important, because you create a webinar that works. You can stop selling, you start driving traffic to it, and it'll keep closing sales for you for the rest of your life, which is pretty awesome. So I'm gonna walk through really quickly just the model of how we use the perfect webinar as well. I talk about this in the Expert Secrets book. I encourage people. Everyone wants to create a webinar, make an auto webinar. I get that. You can do that. There's a place and time for that. But I recommend before you ever do that, following this model first. Okay, and the model is basically doing it live until you've mastered the presentation. Okay, and not only you say, oh, I'm not good at Russell, that's too hard. But I promise you, this is the secret. This is how you get good at presenting, how you get good at closing. It's not by doing it once and turning it into an auto webinar, by doing it over and over and over and over again. Okay, the very first time I did the ClickFunnels presentation, if you haven't heard that story, I was, we launched ClickFunnels and it had not been working. People were not signing up. I launched 5 different funnels to try to launch ClickFunnels, and all of them just kind of fell flat on the face. And somebody asked me to speak at their live event, so I took my PowerPoint presentation, dusted it off, plugged ClickFunnels into it, went to this event, stood on stage, gave the presentation. We had a huge table rush, and that was the night. I knew I was like, okay, I know how to sell ClickFunnels now. We're just doing webinars. That's what we did. But I remember as I was leaving the hotel the next morning, I was walking out to the lobby to grab an Uber or whatever, and somebody came up to me. She said, hey, your presentation yesterday was awesome. I wish I could use ClickFunnels, but unfortunately I can't. I'm like, oh, why not? And she's like, well, I don't sell supplements. I'm a coach. And you're talking about supplements, so unfortunately I can't use ClickFunnels. I was like, no, you can. Like, I'm a coach too. Like, I have courses and info products and coaching and masterminds. I sell all of them through funnels. And she's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. She's like, hold on, don't leave then. And she ran back in the event room, grabbed 2 of her friends, all 3 ran out 3 order forms, handed me order forms, and said, we thought this only worked for supplements. I was so confused. Here's the forms we're in. And so I was like taking 3 forms, putting in my pocket. I'm like, okay. I jumped in the plane. I was like, I didn't explain that well enough. So back in my slides, I tweaked them a little bit. I added to the slides. This works for webinars, it works for coaching. I showed examples of my coaching funnels, my courses, and like I showed a bunch of examples. And when I got back to home to Boise on the flight home, I'm like texting everyone. I'm like, I have a webinar. It's hot. Let's do a presentation. Let's do this webinar to your list. And so I started lining up people to do a webinar. Remember, I got home and a couple days later, I did the very first webinar, and I had 2 webinars actually locked back to back signed up for that day. So I did one in the morning, and I think we had like 600 people or so that showed up to the webinar. I did the presentation. I did good. I think we had like $30,000 in sales or something like that. I was like, that's good. I remember when I got done, I was like, I feel like I should have better. Like, it's felt kind of rusty. A couple things felt kind of weird. I'm not explain it. So what I did is I exported all the comments from the webinar. I exported the comments. I started going through them. I was like, oh, there's a question here. I started looking at all the things they were stuck at. I took those things they were stuck at. Went back to my slides. I tweaked the slide, added a slide here, added things here, back and forth. That was perfect. And then went back into the same webinar to a similar group of people like 4 hours later, that presentation. And the second time we did over 6 figures in sales. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was a huge increase in sales by just making some slide tweaks, right? Explaining things that people were stuck, things they were confused about. So then I took the questions again, I re-exported them, changed my slides again, I did the webinar again and again and again and again. For me, I did it live over 70 times before I automated it. Every webinar, as soon as I get done, export the questions, tweak it, got better and better and better to the point where now that webinar has built the company ClickFunnels, which you're aware of, obviously. So that's the model. And eventually you can automate it. I would recommend not doing it first. I would have automated my webinar after the very first time I presented it. Man, we would have been a fraction, a tenth the size we are today. Okay, so initially the model at the beginning started this. Okay, so you got, let's say there's a week. Okay, so you just promote the webinar on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, and then Thursday we actually do the webinar live, right? Then Friday we switch over and do the replay for the webinar. And Saturday and Sunday you have your urgency or scarcity, and Sunday night you pull that webinar presentation offline. Okay. And then you start over again on Monday. Monday you set up a new webinar funnel, start having ads into it. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, promote. Thursday, live webinar. Friday, replay. Saturday, Sunday, pull that webinar off, it's off, and you start over again. Okay. I've had people I tell us, like, well, I can't email my list every single week. I email every single week. By the second or third week, they're not going to come the same webinar over and over again. I said, exactly. This is going to force you to get new traffic and new blood and new people into your business. That's why this model is so powerful. I did a presentation, podcast probably 3 or 4 years ago. It was in January, very beginning of the year. I told everyone, I said, okay, if you want to be financially free by this year, you do webinar live every single week for at least 52 weeks. If you do this, everything will change in your life. You'll have unlimited leads, cash flow, like you'll be perfect at presenting everything. And I told that to everybody, and most people didn't ready with it. But guess who did? You guys know Kaylin Poland. Kaylin listened to the podcast. She said, okay, I'm gonna do that. She did a webinar live every single week. And right now I think they're the second or third biggest company inside of ClickFunnels because she mastered her presentation. Now she's a spot where she can click live on Facebook and just do it and just crush it every single time. And so it's really inspiring. I have a whole chapter here talking about. She does her presentations now where she took my perfect webinar script and she shrunk it from a 90-minute down to like a 30-minute, and she's all live on Facebook. Oh, and does her sales that way. Okay, and so it's powerful. But anyway, there's the model I want to share with you guys. And then after you've got the presentation right, you can put it in an auto webinar funnel and just. But again, I would recommend perfecting the presentation before you make an auto webinar. All right. There's my rant. Some stuff you understand how numbers can work. I think these are just make-believe numbers. These aren't always true in every market. They shift, they change. It's not going to income claim, just me just explaining kind of basic numbers, kind of ballpark numbers. Okay, so if let's say you're running Facebook ads to webinar, you're probably going to spend anywhere from $2 to $5 per register. Okay, I'm saying $3 just kind of even it out. So let's say in this example, you pay $3 to get somebody to register for webinar, and you folks are getting 1,000 registers a week. Okay, and so your ad spend $3,000 on Facebook. Okay, from that you got 25% of people who register to actually show up. Okay, so it's only 250 people actually show up to the presentation. Okay. From the presentation, and again, this is the ballpark, depending how good you get, depending what your close rate will be. Let's say you get your close rate about 10%, which is a really good close rate on a webinar. It means of the 250 people, it means 25 of them sign up for whatever you're selling at $997, whatever price point, right? So you made $25,000 in sales. And then typically what happens if you follow the follow-up sequence, most people will double their the webinar sales on the follow-up sequence. So they make an additional $25,000. Okay, so you look at that, you spend $3,000 in ads, you get $50,000 back out the backside, plus you get 1,000 new leads who registered for your webinar that you can sell them other things in the future. Okay, so again, these numbers aren't perfect. It might go up. Your per registration cost might be $8, might be $1. You may only be able to get, you only get 10% show up rate or 30% show up rate. You may only close 3% or 5%. Like all these numbers change. I want to give you guys kind of a model. This is what we were shooting for. And we were growing ClickFunnels. Okay, this is the metrics, the math, and we got pretty close to this, and we just did this every day, every week, consistently over and over and over and over again. And that's what blew our company up. Okay. And the big question people ask is like, what's your close rate? A lot of it depends. Okay, if you close 5% of people who are on when you transition to the pitch, so like, I'm gonna show you the stack and the close. You transition to stack and close. You have 5% of people who buy, and that who are on that point, that's a good webinar. If you get 10%, typically that's a webinar that's gonna be able to scale to about 7 figures or beyond, and 50%, that's where ClickFunnels, where I got mine converting at. So the sky is the limit from that point on. Okay, so for me to teach a perfect webinar, there's 2 frameworks I have to teach you. Okay, the first is my framework for teaching a framework. Okay, and then the second is the actual perfect webinar framework. Okay, they work hand in hand. This is one of the biggest updates in the new version of the Expert Secrets book because my framework for how to teach a framework, I didn't know that initially. And when I created that, I started using it and teaching it, and you'll see how it overlays on top of the perfect webinar. When you understand both these frameworks and how they work hand in hand, it makes this possible. And so that's what I'm gonna share with you guys. First is my framework for my framework for teaching frameworks. Yeah, I think the first thing you gotta understand is that for everything that we're selling to a webinar, you have to understand what you're actually selling is a framework for success, right? You want someone to lose weight, you want to make money, you want them to invest in stocks, you want them to, whatever your thing is you're selling, you take a supplement or, whatever your product services, what you're typically selling is a result, right? The result is success somewhere. And what you're giving them, here's the framework for how to be successful, okay? If I go to the dentist and I got a cavity, what the dentist is applying to me is his framework, his or her framework that they learned in dental school on how to get rid of my cavity, okay? It's a framework for success. I'm in pain, the success I want is to get out of pain. If they come in there and they apply the framework they learned to get rid of my tooth and fix it or whatever, right? Same thing as if you're a chiropractor, if you're a doctor, like in any profession, what's actually happening is that there's a result you want, right? And you have a framework to get somebody that result. Either you're applying it to them, okay, or you're teaching it to them or whatever that is. But that's kind of the concept, okay? So if you need successful selling on a webinar, you have to have your own proprietary framework, okay? Because the proprietary framework is how you get somebody from where they are today, to the result you want them to be able to get to, okay? And so I'm not gonna go deep into how to create your own frameworks and stuff like that. I'm assuming if you have your own framework. If not, the Expert Secrets book goes into like teaching you how to actually create your frameworks and things like that. I'm gonna assume you have a framework because you're here trying to figure out how to sell it, right? That's why you want to learn how to use a perfect webinar. Here's my framework for how to do blah. The perfect webinar is gonna wrap that into a package to be able to get people who want to give you money, okay? So this is my framework for how to teach frameworks. There's a picture right here. I'm gonna go through each of the pieces of it. In the middle there's your framework. This is the thing that you give somebody. Okay, so it'll be like the step-by-step process. So this is the 5 steps how to lose weight. This is the 7 steps to increase your marriage. This is the 22 steps to get white teeth. This is the 5 steps to building a funnel. This, again, whatever your framework is. Okay, so frameworks are in the middle. If I just give them my framework, honestly, it doesn't mean much to them. You have to teach it to them and give it to them in a way that increases the perceived value of it so they actually use it, right? Otherwise, it's just like, anyway, you give somebody anything with it. I'll go into that in a minute. One thing else we understand, I learned from Brendan Bouchard. He said the framework is your savior. Okay, a lot of times, especially when you're speaking from a crowd or on a webinar or something, you don't want to have like a bunch of notes you're reading through, right? Your framework is kind of structured, like what you're teaching, how you're teaching it. In fact, I remember I was at an event with Brendan, and somebody asked him, "Hey, Brendan, can you teach your 7-day live launch strategy, aka framework, to everybody?" He's like, "Oh, sure. How long do you want me to teach for?" He's like, "How about you got an hour?" He's like, "Okay." So you got a whiteboard, you mapped out, you start drawing his framework. Spend like 5 minutes kind of drawing the doodles. Like, "Okay, this is my framework. Let me teach it to you." He went to the very beginning. Step number 1, he walked through the first part of the framework. And then went step number 2. In the middle of step number 2, somebody asked him a question. So Brendan went back and addressed the question, gave the answer, and then he stopped for a second. And the guy's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't throw you off." He's like, "No, hold on." He's like, "Oh, I left off right here." He came back and started teaching, kept teaching through the framework until he was done. And one thing he said, "You know what's amazing?" He said, "If you are teaching, you get stuck, you get lost, you get thrown off path or whatever." He's like, "The framework is your savior. You just come back and like, whoop, there, I'm back here now, right?" And so that's what you understand. Like when you have your own frameworks, it's easier to teach. It's easier to teach. I have to have notes. Like for me, I can teach my entire webinar or any of my coaching program or anything because I have a framework, right? I'm teaching my framework how to create frameworks. I have like a place I'm going to. If I get stuck or I get lost, I can stop. Like, okay, next slide. Just go to the next one, right? Because the framework is my savior. It keeps me on track and make sure I'm giving everybody what they need to be successful. Okay. All right. And before I dive into my framework for how to teach frameworks, I want to tell you guys my number 1 mistake. Okay. So this is me. You saw me teaching earlier, and you were blown away at how impressed you were with my teaching abilities. I know. I remember when I was trying to learn this game. I went to this event, I spoke, and I remember thinking ahead of time. I was like, as I watched the speakers, like these speakers are okay. They're good selling, man. They're not good at teaching stuff. Like I know more than they do. I remember having this ego about like how much I thought I knew. Right. My head was like this big. And I went and taught I went to my first event. I was like, I'm gonna teach you guys everything I know. It's gonna blow their mind. They're gonna be so impressed with me. And so I started teaching. I started spewing out my framework, right? I didn't call it a framework back then. This is my framework for having success with the thing I was teaching, right? I'm spewing out this framework. And I remember being frustrated. I looked in the audience. People were like, pay attention, looking down. They're taking notes on the computer. They're walking out of the room. I was just like, they don't understand like what I went through to create this thing for them. Like this is like, you know, at the time, like 5 years of hard work and effort. I spent so much money to figure out these things I was giving them. And I felt like I was casting my pearls before swine, right? These things that were so precious to me. I'm trying to share with people, and they just like, oh, they were not even paying attention. So I did the first presentation, nobody bought. And afterwards, like, oh, your content was really good. I'm like, then why didn't you buy? Like, because you taught me everything I need to know, right? And I was like, ah. And I remember when my next event, I started teaching, and I started teaching. I kept doing this. I did this for 3 or 4 events. And I remember, I can't remember, third or fourth event, I'm speaking, I'm watching people just like dozing off. Some people walking out of the room, and again, I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'm giving them like this precious gift, and they're just like, they're not respecting it. I'm so angry. Have you ever felt that before? Like, can I share with you this nugget that like, do you know what I went through to get this for you? And they wouldn't pay attention. I remember halfway through my presentation, I was like so mad. I slammed my hand on the table. Everyone like jumps up really quick. I said, do you understand what I'm giving you guys right now? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, I don't think you understand. I'm not to give you something. Like, let me tell you what I had to go through to earn this for you. Yeah, I didn't just like pull this out of a book. I was like, I read, you know, I can't remember, I read 200 books on the topic of this, and I tried all things, none of them actually worked. And I hired this guy, and this guy, and this guy, and from this guy, this is one piece of work, this course, this piece, this, like, after all this stuff, you know, I think at times I spent $30,000 or $40,000 in my education, and all these things, I was just like, of all the crap I went through, this is the secret. This was the piece. This, like, this, if you have this one little thing, everything becomes easy. And I looked, all their eyes are just like staring at me like this big, right? I was like, okay, can I explain to you one more time? Like, yeah, please. I said, okay. And then I started teaching my framework the second time, and that time nobody budged. They sat there and watched me. They're just like, this is amazing, because I was able to explain to them the value of the framework, the value of the thing I was trying to give to them. Okay, too many times I see teachers who are teaching an amazing framework and they've lost their audience because they didn't increase the perceived value of it by telling them the story about how they learned or they earned it. Okay, I'm talking about real quick. Do you guys know what I did? I got to teach my framework, how to teach frameworks. Instead of just teaching it, what did I do? I did step one of the framework. Okay, so step one of the framework is you have to tell the story about how you learned it or you earned it. Okay, so I just told you guys the story of how I learned to earn this framework. Do you guys see that? Oh, this is like Inception, like a dream inside of a dream. Okay, this is the first step. Because advice was like, hey, let me walk you through the framework and how to teach frameworks. Number one, you got to teach your story. You guys have been like, oh, Russell's boring. But instead, I told you guys the story about how I learned it and I earned it. And so your ears perked up, and start teaching now. You're gonna pay attention. Okay, that's the key. So the first step is before you introduce your framework, you have to tell the story about how you learned it or you earned it. If you do not tell them that story, they will not respect it. They will not be able to use it. They will not internalize it. They will not pay attention, and you will lose them. So the most powerful lessons I learned as I was teaching on the stage week after week after week is if I didn't tell them how I learned it or I earned it, they would not respect it when I tried to share with them. Okay, but if I did, then it wasn't like I was casting my pearls before swine. They were listening, waiting with bated ears, like just waiting to find out what that thing was. Okay, but people ask me in the past, like, what is earn versus learn? What does that mean? Okay, earn is when you earn through your experience. I went through all this stuff to earn this for you so I can share it, right? Or I learned how to study this, I learned all these things to be able to give you the knowledge I now have. Okay, so number one is the story about how you learned it or you earned it. Okay, and this is a picture of me wrestling my buddy Nate. His knee shut my eye. I remember posting that on Facebook. And my post, I posted that picture. Like, this is the day I learned to not shoot with my head down because I learned this through experience and knowledge. I shoot my head down. Nate's knee went into my eye, and I had like 20 stitches. I still have a scar to this day. But that was why I shared that picture there, is because when you learn it and you earn it, if you share that scar, you tell people the story, then they will respect the next step in the framework. Okay, that's step one. Okay, so there's my framework teaching frameworks. Again, that was the first step here. Is the story how I learned to earn it. So for you guys right now, what I do? Told you the story about how I learned to earn that piece. Okay, now I'm gonna transition now to step number two. And the reason why, let me back up. So the reason why is because without the story, right? If you don't tell them the story how you learned to earn it, then nobody's gonna buy into the strategy. They're gonna share it in the second step. Okay. All right, so I'm going to step number two. Step number two is the strategy. Okay, there's two parts to teaching your framework. There's the strategy and then there's the tactics. Okay, the strategy is the high level view. Like, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going. Okay, in a business they call this the vision. Like, what's the vision that you're going to be sharing with people? Okay, the strategy is the thing I would doodle out on a whiteboard. Okay, so for me it's like, hey, here's the strategy. Is this right? So for example, when I started sharing this framework with you guys, I said, here, I showed you this picture. This is the strategy. This is where we're going, right? So I show you that. That's the vision. I can see, okay, this is where I'm going. And you think about this. Let's say if you're in war, right? And if you're a general, you walk up to your people and you just tell them the tactics. Your job, run there, shoot that guy. Your job, go over there, block that guy. And the people are like, why are we like? That makes no sense for me to run over here, right? If you just share people the tactics, they don't understand. They're not bought into the mission, so they're not going to do it. Okay, instead the general comes and say, hey guys, this is the plan. This is how we're going to do this thing. And he shares the strategy, and they're like, oh, cool. And then the tactics, like, your job in the strategy is to go over there. Your job's here. And people are like, oh, I get it because I know the strategy. I know why I'm doing this thing. Same thing's true for you. Okay, the first thing I got to paint a picture. This is what I'm teaching you guys. Right? This is the strategy of my framework, and they get that. They buy into that. Then they will listen to the tactics. They have to understand the strategy. Okay, so again, step number one is my story of how I learned it. Step number two, now I introduce, here's the framework. Here's the strategy behind it. So if you ever see me teach on Hacking Live, my big events, this is why I always grab my whiteboard out and I doodle out. Here's the strategy we're going to teach you. Okay, and then I break down and I start going into the tactics, which are like the step by step, right? Okay, so without the strategy, if I don't share people with the strategy, they're not going to buy into the tactics. Okay, all right. So that moves us to step number three in this framework. Is now you're going to teach them the actual tactics. Okay, now this is important because something happens in step number three inside the perfect webinar. But I need you to understand right now. Okay, because I'm teaching some of my frameworks. This is where I go. It's like, okay, step number one is this. Step number two, step number three. I start teaching them exactly how to do the thing. Okay, so it's between like the what and the how, right? The strategy, like, here's what we're gonna do. The tactics, here's how we're gonna do it. Okay, so the how is typically, for most of you guys, the how is gonna be the thing you're selling, right? It's the course, it's the step by step, walking through everything you do to get that end result. Okay, so that's the next step here. Okay, so again, that's the first step of the framework. So number one, story about how you learned to earn it. Number two, here's the framework. Number three, all right, break framework down. Step one, go buy domain. Step two, go do this. Step three, you walk through everything, all the little tactics that you need to do to be successful, right? Okay, and then move on to step number four, which is now that you social proof this actually works. This is where I share examples of other people who are just like that. This is Liz Benny, who used Perfect Webinar, who then became 2 Comma Club winner. Notice when I started this whole presentation, I told you about Liz Benny, who used Perfect Webinar, went into 2 Comma Club, right? Social proof. I needed to get social proof so you actually believe in these frameworks I was sharing with you. Okay, and that's the fourth step. Okay, because without the case study, they won't believe that they can actually have success with the framework. They may believe that you can, they won't believe that they can unless you were able to actually teach it as well. Okay, and so that's the last step here. Okay, so again, number one, the story about how you learned to earn it. Number two, here's the strategy. Number three, we break down the tactics. Number four, here's case studies about how other people who are just like you have used it. Obviously, I use it. Here's how other people use it as well. Therefore, because I can transfer this knowledge to them, I can also transfer this knowledge to you. Okay, and that's the first part here in this process. That's how you teach people in a way that doesn't just give them information, but it gives them an actual transformation. Okay, so that's my.
All right, so should we go in and start doing this, or do you want to kind of watch the rest and then go back in after and do this?
Yeah, I've kind of grasped the formula in terms of like walking people through, giving them a way to understand what you're about to show them, and then and then walking them through the framework. So yeah, I think that makes sense.
So do you want to go back, because after that he talks about like the actual like webinar framework. So we can either like do the frameworks now for the 3 different sections, or just watch the rest of the training and go through the steps for the webinar. And then like, once we get to that step, we already know like the steps to follow to flesh out the stories in each teaching point.
I mean, do you feel like we need to watch the video? I looked at the PDF you sent. Does this just flesh out more of what that is, or?
To be fair, I didn't finish it because I got like maybe 3/4 of the way through, and I'm like, there's no point in me doing this on my own. It's going to be more effective if we watch it together and kind of go through the process. I'm not sure exactly what the last portion of it is. I just know the next part is like him going over the different parts of the webinar and kind of like breaking it down.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay finishing it. I mean, it'll probably be another 10 minutes or something since
Sure.
we're watching it.
Especially because the only thing is with our 3, like, I don't know, core values or teaching points, however we want to call them, like frameworks, they're good. They teach what we want to teach, but in the perfect webinar, there's like, he's like point number 1, or, you know, secret number 1, as he calls it, is the vehicle. And then the second one is internal. And then the third one is external. I'm like he was saying before, like, don't mess with the formula. So I'm just like, should we wait to get to that point and try to figure out how can we create a version of each of those 3 frameworks and associate them with, like, one is the vehicle, one is the internal, one's the external. So it's like, if we find a way to do that, I feel like it would be way more effective. And since we haven't gotten there yet, I'm like, it probably makes more sense to keep going and then kind of come back after and go through the frameworks.
Yeah, let's just keep going.
All right, sounds good. And let me know, like, give me a sign if ever you want me to like pause or something.
Yeah.
Framework, how to teach frameworks. That's the first thing I need you guys to understand, because we're going to be using that here in the second part now. The second framework I'm going to teach, which is the actual perfect webinar framework. Okay, you guys ready to move on to number 2? So step number 2 now we have our frameworks. Now I'm going to be plugging them into the perfect webinar. Okay. And there's different frameworks, and you're going to see kind of how these frameworks all fit together. Here's I kind of break down the perfect webinar script. Okay. So this is what the perfect webinar framework looks like. Okay. So there's my strategy. Okay. And then I'm going to be breaking down the tactics, obviously. I can tell you guys a ton of stories ahead of time about how I learned to earn this, but I already have. Okay. If you notice, as I've been teaching today, I've told you guys so many stories about how I learned to earn this framework. So I'm not going to redo that right now. But again, if you notice all my teaching, all my education, you read my books, it's talking my books, right? I introduce a framework. Chapter 1 is a framework. I tell a story how I learned it. Here's a strategy. Here's all the tactics. Here's a case study. I'm doing it. Chapter 2. Here's, and that's every chapter in all my books. That's how I teach them, right? Like when I teach on stage, when I teach, like, you'll notice I do it over and over and over again. It's ingrained in my brain now. It should be for you guys as well. It's something you got to practice, but it's going to become part of you. So make sure you understand those 4 parts. So important. Okay. So perfect webinar framework. So this is the overarching strategy. Okay. There's a bunch of things we're going to be doing here. I'm going to kind of break down here as we kind of go through this. But this is the key. Now, the first thing, now I'm jumping into the presentation. We're going to break it from there, okay? So inside the perfect webinar, there are 4 stories you have to tell to create a table rush to get people to buy. Okay, so if I'm a live event, this is what gets people to run up and run to the back room. If I'm on a webinar, so it gets them to run, they go find their wallets, run back, and like type in the digits as quick as they can. Okay, so these 4 stories. And the stories are tied to your frameworks, as you'll see here in a few minutes. Okay. Now, the first story is the first part of this framework. Okay, it's the very first thing. This is the first 15 minutes of your presentation. Okay, someone comes on the webinar or you're speaking live event. The very first thing you gotta do is you gotta capture their attention quickly. Okay, and so the very first thing we're trying to do is try to take the core concept we're teaching them, right? I need to try my goal in that first 15 minutes is to tell my origin story in a way that gets them to believe what I'm talking about is actually true. Okay, and so that's the first thing. If you notice the little doodle, there's a guy, he's pushing down this domino. Okay, I talk about this because in every sales presentation, every sales argument, there's always one big domino you have to knock over. If you knock that one domino over, then all your other concerns disappear. Okay, so for me, for example, with ClickFunnels, so I have to convince people that funnels are the tool that is the fastest and the best way to grow the company. If I convince them that funnels are the best thing in the world, best thing to slice bread, that'll knock the domino over, and they have to give me money. Okay, so that's my goal. Okay, and so for you, it can be something different. Let's say you are selling a ketogenic diet, you got to convince them the big domino. If you can get them to believe the ketogenic diet is the thing that's actually going to help them finally lose weight, that's the big domino. That's all you have to convince people of. Okay, sometimes people can sell, you have to convince people 5 or 6 things, and the answer is actually the exact opposite. In any sales argument, we're trying to convince somebody of more than one thing, my conversions will immediately drop in half. Okay, so I'm not trying to convince people of more than one thing. The only thing I'm trying to convince you my entire 90-minute presentations is that funnels are the greatest way for you to grow your company online. That's it. Okay, I'm gonna hit from a bunch of angles you'll see here, but there's only one thing I'm trying to get you to believe: the big domino statement. If you read the expertise book, I talk a lot about this big domino statement. What is that thing? If I get them to believe that, they have to give me money. Okay, so if you think, like, what is it? Is that they have to believe that they need online courses? They have to believe that that they need these supplements. They have to believe, like, whatever that thing is. If you get them to believe that, then they will do anything to get it, right? So for me, that's always my goal. If I need to believe you have to have a funnel, I got you. So my very first 15 minutes of my presentation, what I'm gonna do is tell you the origin story about why I believe that this thing, this big domino, is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you my origin story about how I learned about this thing, and I'm presenting over the rest of the presentation. Okay, and if you do this correctly in the first 15 minutes, there'll be a percentage of people who buy in the first, like, they'll be ready to buy after the first 15 minutes. Okay, they're gonna hear your origin story and they're ready to sign up because that's all it took for them. Okay, and so that's kind of the first thing. So let me walk you through this. So the first 15 minutes we're gonna do is we're gonna tell what I call the Epiphany Bridge story. And some of you have heard me tell the story before. I talk about this a lot of stages. I talk about a lot inside the After Seekers book. The Epiphany Bridge story. This is the story about how you learn about this thing, right? How I started geeking out and became obsessed with funnels. How you got obsessed with whatever your product or your service is. Okay, but remember this: most people do it incorrectly. Okay, and so this is what typically happens. You have to go back in time. You have to remember back when you were a normal human. How many of you remember when you were a normal human? Okay, before you were obsessed with the thing that you love to sell. Okay, the product, the service, the whatever it is that you sell. Like, do you remember what it was like before you were normal? You're just a normal dude, right? Normal person, dude, like just doing normal stuff, right? I remember when I got into wrestling. I used to come home from school every day. I'd sit and eat Cheerios or Rice Krispies and watch TV from school's over till dinner time. Dinner time, I eat dinner. I do homework, I go to bed. That was my life for the first till 8th grade. In 8th grade, my dad made me become a wrestler. I didn't want to wrestle. I was like so angry. I remember going out and wrestling. And the very first time I wrestled a match, I remember getting my hand raised. I was like, this is the greatest feeling in the world. And that day I became a wrestler. Okay, so for me, like, that was that transition point for me. Okay, I remember what happened with funnels for me. I remember having anything I'm excited about. I remember, like, the transition point went from being a normal person to being someone who's like, this is the greatest thing in the world. So you gotta remember, like, when was that for you? Something happened, something emotional happened to you in your life that made you think, this this is the greatest thing. Like this is my mission. This is my passion. I'm going to teach us. I'm going to sell this, whatever that thing is, right? Do you remember that moment? It's important when you go back in time to remember. Sometimes it takes a while to remember. Okay. But this is where it starts. So something happened, right? You're a normal human being. And then you had this epiphany, this aha, right? And it was an emotional experience, right? Where like, very like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like I got my hand raised, or like I sold something and funnel actually made it work. Whatever the thing was, right? Where I had this emotional aha where I was like, oh, this is amazing. Okay. And sometimes the aha came from because somebody came, they taught you something, you're like, oh, you had the aha. Other times you're working, you have inspiration from God, or also you get this idea. And it's like, oh, right? That's why I call it an epiphany. And so what happens is you have this epiphany, right? Again, the epiphany comes from God. It could come from an idea, it could come from a conversation, like whatever, you have this epiphany. And also you're like, this is the greatest thing in the world. You start this journey, right? And so I call it the epiphany, you start this journey. We're like, this is going to change the world. And you're like, I need to know everything about this. And then you do the thing that is really important for you, for your own personal internal belief, but it's the thing that kills cells more than anything. You go out and you start studying and start learning and start trying to figure out all the facts and the figures, everything you can. And because you want to logically be able to convince everyone that you know that this is the greatest thing in the world, right? You have your whole list of all the logical statements, like this is the best technology, the best conversion rates, and blah, blah, like all these things, right? I'm the same way. I remember like when I, the very first time, I had this is kind of a longer story, but I'm gonna jump in before I started it. We had Marcus Lemonis from the TV show Profit speak at Funnel Hacking Live, second Funnel Hacking Live we ever did. And I remember he came to Funnel Hacking Live, and before he spoke, I had a chance for like 15 minutes to talk to him and tell him about the event. And I remember he kind of walked around the event, he came in to our room, and he's like, why is everyone so excited outside? And I was like, because we're building funnels. He's like, is it like a website builder? I'm like, kind of. He's like, then why are they all so excited? And I was like, oh, well, because, and also I defaulted to what all of you guys want to do. I switched to technobabble. I was like, well, funnels way better than websites because they got higher conversion rates. We can increase people's average card value. I start spewing out all this technobabble, right? Okay. And Marcus's eyes like glaze over and he's like, why are you so excited? It doesn't make any sense to me. Okay. And so that's what happens is we spew out this technobabble. I have a friend named Kim Klaver. She wrote a book that's called If Your Product's So Great, How Come Nobody's Buying It? And in that book, she said the number one killer of sales is this concept of technobabble. People like us who had emotional experience, we geeked out all the studies of the science and logic. Now we have a logical statement about why this is like the greatest thing in the world. We got to try to logically convince the world, yet we weren't logically convinced to get started. That's not how we got involved. We got involved because of emotion, right? So to be successful at selling and tell your epiphany story, you have to get rid of the technobabble. You have to get rid of all the logic. You have to go back on this journey, cross the epiphany, back to when you had your emotional thing that changed you, that gave you the aha, that gave you the epiphany, and remember that moment. That's the story you're gonna tell in the first 15 minutes. Okay? If you watch my webinars, it's my Potato Gun story. That was the thing for me. That's when I realized that funnels were the greatest thing in the world. I was gonna dedicate my life to creating funnels because like Potato Gun DVD that was failing. I put in a funnel and it worked. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, so if you watch my webinar on ClickFunnels where I tell them initially my epiphany bridge story. The first 15 minutes is me telling my epiphany bridge story, but why I'm so excited about this topic. So I tell them this thing how funnels changed my life. It's the greatest thing in the world now, right? I tell the emotional journey that I went on. Okay, and that's the first 15 minutes. Notice I didn't logically try to convince them anything. I just told them my story, my origin story, and why I'm so excited about this thing that I want to share with them. Okay, and for me, it's funnels. For you, it could be ketosis. It could be a way you trade stocks. It could be a way that you clean teeth. It could be a way you adjust something. It could be like whatever it is you sell. It doesn't matter. But whatever it is that you have, that epiphany bridge, that story is the key. That's what we tell them in the first 15 minutes. Now, if you do this correctly, for a lot of people, that's going to knock down the domino. There's people I tell my Potato Gun story like I'm ready to sign up. I want to take my money now, right? Because they believe it. Okay. And so for a lot of people, like that's the thing that's gonna that's enough for a lot of people to buy. Unfortunately, it's not enough for everybody. Otherwise, my webinar is like 15 minutes long, we'd be done. Okay. And so what happens is I start pushing this domino over people like this sounds awesome. But all of a sudden, all the skepticism start popping up. Okay. And typically there's three core things that keep somebody from buying. Okay. And it's three false beliefs. It's not like 100 things or 1,000 things. Always one of three.
Should we finish this part or dive into let's figure out what the origin story is?
Yeah. So let's do this as an exercise because I feel like we're still not super clear on. Okay, so I know we're talking about overwhelm. Success. Getting more clients. Let's see here. Productivity. Groups. Marketing.
So what are you trying to figure out?
So with the epiphany bridge, it's like we need the story that like what did we realize that gave us the like what we're gonna show them, like the thing that we understand, which is the framework that we're talking about is
would that be the story like of just that day where it's like you got coached and then the day after we're speaking and we're like, okay, like we just got to accept that we got to be normal. Like that realization, I think that's what changed everything. Like it was like there was a few points that we hit. There was a point where it's like, let's not try to be something we're not. Let's just have fun and be lazy. And then there was the other point where it's like, okay, let's just be normal. We don't need to have this constant pressure of succeeding.
Okay, yeah, so. So all of this stuff is things that come from.
Actually, let me just stop the sharing. Since you're on the board, it makes more sense if we can see you.
Whoops. What?
I was just stopping the share because since you're on the board, it makes more sense if we can see
Oh,
you
okay.
rather than my screen.
Okay, so what I think the key idea, like the big domino is the key to overwhelm, like the key to fixing overwhelm is not do less. Like you hear that in business circles, it's like the key to your business is like just focus on the right thing and only do that. You know, we're overwhelmed because there's this whole hustle culture. It's like just go, 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 go. It's like the answer is not do less. The answer is not more hustle.
'Cause I feel like there's a lot of elements building up to this where it's like, okay, we don't need to work smart and we need to work dumb. And it's
Yeah,
like so many small elements that led to it. But I think it was that moment when we realized we just need to be normal. That's when like everything clicked and fell into place.
yeah. It's not. So this is really like. Okay, so these are not the answer to your overwhelm. Overwhelm is not from, hey, work faster. It's not from like, hey, do more stuff. The overwhelm is not trying to figure out what is the right thing by working smart. It's like the reason you're overwhelmed is because everything you're doing is out of alignment with the person you actually are. You're doing a whole bunch of stuff that is not you. And the answer to having a successful business is not, the answer is not like magically do less and your business is going to grow. It's like you have to do a lot. There's a lot of things you have to do. If you have the resources, those lots of things, you outsource them to people. But the real, like how you make stuff happen is you got to do it. You got to create something. But if you're creating stuff that somebody else is telling you what to do, you're copying other people's systems, you're doing the stuff that you're not listening to like what it's telling you inside, which is like, do I really want to do that? Is that really gonna help my business? Is that thing gonna make me sales? And if you're not asking that question over and over, then all of this stuff that you're just like, if you're working really hard, you know, doing 80 hours a week, like I was doing at the beginning of last year, you know, I had a full-time job. I was hopping on calls with you guys. I was waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning to do calls with, you know, with like Kevin, Sandy, and, you know, people from the Felix's Thrive Together. It's like you can hit burnout by stacking your day full of stuff. What you need to do is like make sure that the stuff that you're doing is like it's giving you energy. You're getting excited about it. It's not about the outcome of like, I'm going to do this stuff and I like this stuff that I'm doing because this is going to give me the freedom. It's like, no. It's like, if that stuff is giving you freedom already, it's like, oh, this is where I love to be. Like I could be making $0 and it's like, I want to spend time with these people. I want to share what I know with these people because it's going to help them. I want to create something that somebody can use even after I'm done teaching it, whatever those things are. It's like, you should want to do it because it's who you are, not because you're trying to make money out of it or have a business that lasts. So it's like, so our framework of dealing with overwhelm has nothing to do with do less, do more, work smart, blah, blah, blah. It's, so like we need a name for this, but so then I'll tell a story of like, overwhelm. And I guess I don't know if it's a stretch to do this, but I think, yeah, I think I'll talk about being diagnosed with ADHD, being addicted to porn, having a new baby. I'm working a part-time job and I feel like a failure. And I'm putting Eden, like I'm holding Eden, she's like 1, and I'm like looking at porn in the middle of the pandemic. I'm like, this has got to stop. This is a stupid life. And so like that's the feeling. That's the feeling of overwhelm. It's like, I know what it's like to be there, be like, I can't do this. I can't keep being this person. And that's the thing. It's like, it wasn't, I've got to do less. It's like, I got to stop watching porn. It's like, I spent 20 years trying to stop watching porn and it never worked. It's like, what I needed to do was like, I need to not be the guy who wants that. I need to learn how to be somebody who's like, I don't need that. I don't want it. I need to become somebody else. It's like, it wasn't working more because I got to a point after I got excited about marketing and business. It's like I was working 80 hours a week after I had gotten a full-time job. I was doing my business on the side and I wasn't making any progress. I was like, I thought I knew what I was doing. I was doing all this stuff and it wasn't creating any results. I think in 1 year I made like 2 sales. It's like $600 doing something that wasn't even my new business that I was trying to do. It's like video, it was like production consulting. And then I had a couple churches that were like, hey, we really want you to do your code, help us, coach us on launching this program. It's like, they didn't have the $3,700 for it. So I like, as the owner of the company, I gave them a discount. I charged them $150. It's like, that was the sale. I didn't have the guts to be like, no, this is what it's worth. I didn't understand how to sell in a way that they were excited to pay me for that money. It's like, I didn't know how it works. I mean, I was learning how to do this and it's like, anyway, so I've been in the overwhelm and I realized that it's not about the stuff you're doing. It's like, who are you as a person? And we sat down to put together this webinar on like 5-minute Facebook groups because we're like, oh, like that's going to help people's overwhelm. I put together a free Facebook group showing people how to launch their group in 30 minutes. I've even gotten on the phone and done it for people. And people still aren't excited. People aren't like, oh my gosh, like you're making this. I mean, people are saying you make it so easy. They're saying like, I can't believe like, I thought it was going to be hard, but it's like, you've shown how simple it's going to be. They're not saying this is taking care of my overwhelm because it's not about the stuff. It's like, they're happy that I'm helping them as a person, but the process, they don't care about the process. And we realize like the people that we are, it's like the thing that we're really good at is being lazy. It's like I'm constantly building processes and assets so that I don't have to keep doing things. That's the kind of person I am. It's like, I want to learn this new thing. Okay, I never want to do that thing. Like you went on a 50 kilometer ultra marathon run. And you're like, I totally didn't need to do that. Like this is just how human nature works. We want to experience the new, but as soon as it's not new, it's like, okay, have that experience. And when it comes to business, it's like there's fundamental stuff that you have to do. And it's like if you're making yourself do a whole bunch of stuff that's not you, you're just gonna want to avoid it. And so using laziness strategically is how you can get more done. It's like allowing yourself to avoid doing the things that you kind of something somewhere. It doesn't even have to come from logic, but something is telling you like, I really don't want to do that. I don't feel like that's the right thing for me. Like, listen to that. Give yourself the space to not do all of this busy stuff. Because this is actually going to create more bandwidth to be able to do the things that are fun for you. And that's the thing. It's like, you need to only be doing the things that give you more energy, that make you happier, that you're excited to get up and do this project. Like, I love my family. Like, that's the number one important thing for me. But like, I find myself like waiting to get back to work on the thing that I'm working on because it's so much fun. And so it's like, you need to have something that's like, this is energizing to you. It needs to be, so you're not overwhelmed with it. It's like, when can I get back and do this? And what I found is like in paid memberships where people are like, I'm super excited about this community. I'm super excited about the promise of the thing. It's like, they get in there for a week or two and then they're like, they can't even get on the calls and meet with people. It's like they don't show up. They're still paying for the thing. It's like, where are you? It's like, you're not having fun. That for whatever reason, you've told yourself you need this thing, but if it's actually not something you want over and over, you're not going to keep doing it. So you've got to have something that is exciting. And then the be normal thing, I think it's like, this is the thing that's caused me the most stress most of my life is I was told ever since I was a kid, like, man, you're so smart. You're so talented. It's like, you're really special. You know, it's like, people were just, you know, overly complimentary about stuff that I did. And inside I was like, you're stupid. Why do you think I'm cool? Because like, that was easy for me. It wasn't that, you know, and I never could believe that I was doing anything valuable. Like I've helped people grow their audience from 400 to 4 million people. I've, you know, blah, 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 big stack of stuff that I've done. And I still feel like a moron and a failure. It's like, cause I'm just a normal dude. I can cherry pick all of these cool things out of my life and line them up for marketing and say, look at all the great stuff I've done. It doesn't change the fact that like, I'm still just living my normal person life. And, you know, you see this with people who are really successful, celebrities, CEOs, people who are like high performers, and they hit this thing called imposter syndrome. It's like, I have all of the things everybody wants, and yet I still feel like a pile of crap. It's because you're not letting yourself realize like, I can be a normal person. I don't have to have those things to feel happy. I can let myself off the hook from needing to be special, from needing to be extraordinary. It's like, if you do those things, it would be cool, but it's a vacation from the person that you actually are, which is you're different from everybody in your experience, but you're the same as everybody in terms of you still need to eat, you still got to poop, you still want a family, you still have to have friends. You still have to make money. It's like we all have the same exact needs as a person. Our businesses have the same exact needs. You got to have traffic. You got to have an offer. You got to have people who want what you're selling, and you got to have a way to deliver it. Like if you don't do the normal basic things in business, doesn't matter how special and blue ocean your offer is. You got to have a normal business that works and do the things that are, Graham likes to say, it's like business fundamentals are fundamental. And so like we can talk about this. So like this, I feel like this framework is interesting, but like what I don't see is how does this all work together in like cohesive. So it's like, okay, we've got the overwhelm. It's not all this. It's who is the person that you are allowing yourself to be. And it's like, maybe these are all things that people want. But like when you put them together, what does it give you? What happens?
Yeah, that's what was coming up for me when you were speaking. It's like, this is not the introductory story. It's not the origin story. I think the origin story needs to convey the message of, I used to believe that in order to be free, I had to be successful. I worked insane hours. I did everything. It's like overwhelm myself until one day I realized, oh, it's the opposite. I need to free myself in order to be successful. And it's like, if we can find a story to illustrate that and to explain that and get people to understand you need that mental shift, then those three principles is like, this is how you do that. This is how you free yourself now so you can be successful. It's like, you need to be lazy, but productively lazy. You need to have fun, because otherwise you're going to hate the entire process and you're not going to want to do it. And you just need to accept the fact, hey, I'm a normal person. I don't need to put all this pressure on myself.
Yeah.
So I think like we need to convey that message in the beginning. We need to find a story that conveys like, I used to believe I needed to work hard and be successful in order to be free and have the life I want. Turns out it's the opposite. Because I feel like if we convey that message, then everything else makes sense. It's like, that's what I realized I needed to do. And we figured out these are the three key elements you need to master in order to get that freedom.
I know what it is that we're missing.
Okay.
We're still trying to teach, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to create an emotion for a thing. We don't like, people don't care about the how it works. This is just an excuse to tell stories. That's what frameworks give you. It's like they become little containers. Like, here's this marketing thing that doesn't mean anything. Let me give you a story that explains it. What we're watching right now is Russell Brunson is selling you the idea of the perfect webinar. I have this thing which you need to get more customers, to sell your product with a funnel. You need an idea. You need a way of delivering the idea. That's what he's selling us is, I have a perfect webinar framework that sells ideas like hotcakes. That's what we need to believe is like this idea mechanism creates belief shift in people. So what we need to do is like, this is not a thing. This is a philosophy. What we needed to figure out is like, what is the thing that I mean, overwhelm is the feeling that we're talking to, but what is the problem that we're trying to solve? It's like the Facebook, it's like get leads. This is why we're overwhelmed. It's like, I don't know how to do this thing, so I'm overwhelmed and I'm doing a bunch of stuff. I'm not doing the right stuff. I'm spread all over the place, whatever. So get leads is the problem. The feeling, like the pain is the overwhelm. And whoops, groups, like how, whatever our marketing thing is, like whatever, if we're gonna call that, like leveraging smart lists or whatever. Let's see here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think because the whole point of the perfect webinar is to sell the product.
Right.
And we're trying to teach a philosophy and not sell the product.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can still wrap everything around this and like create like a sort of fun. I think we can imbue these values into the webinar, but I don't necessarily think that that is the thing that people want. They don't care. What they want is like, I have a problem, which is I want to grow my business. I need to get leads and customers. And I need the magic pill that's going to do that. So ClickFunnels is like, oh, so like if I only give people one option, they either got to say yes or no. And if I'm getting the right people in front of that offer, then they have to say yes. That's what a funnel does. It's like, all right, well, I have a really super unclear message. Well, the perfect webinar helps me clarify what it is that I'm selling so that my funnel will work. So that's, I mean, that's what every little piece of it is. It's like, what is the problem? What is your solution? And how do you emotionalize the solution? So if we're,
Yeah, so I think you're right. Like this philosophy is more, it's our business philosophy.
yeah,
But unless we want to create a course teaching people this philosophy and how to adopt it in their business,
mhm.
we don't need to cover any of this.
Yeah, I mean,
This
I
can
think,
be like what we explain, like in the Facebook group before they're on the webinar or whatever. It's like that's
Yeah.
just kind of who we are.
yeah,
But the course itself, I think you're right. It's like, as an example, like what we're selling is automated Facebook groups, as an example of like, we teach you how to launch, grow, scale, and automate your Facebook group so you can get leads and not have to do the work for it.
mhm,
That's what the entire pitch of the webinar needs to be about.
mhm. Okay, so I think what I can do is we'll say, so here's the thing everybody needs. So this is our big domino. It's like you're one of two people. You either have a business where you know how to get leads, you just need to nurture those leads into customers. Well, 5-minute Facebook group will solve that problem. If you don't have a way to get leads, I can turn you into a guy that can get leads by like coaching you on like your messaging. It's like that's a different offer, but it's like we can qualify people. I mean, honestly, I don't need to talk about this. This is something we do like on a call or on a form. And then it's like, if they're at that stage, then I'll like, whoa, I see you have this problem. It's like, we can't go to the next stage, but do you want help with that thing? Or I can point you to somebody who's really good at crafting offers really quick.
Okay, so what is,
The big idea for this is like, here's how, not get leads, get clients. Get clients from your leads. So it's like you already have. So the
I like how we went from yesterday, it was like, all right, we know the ideal client, we know like this, that, we know everything, to, yeah, we're idiots.
okay, so all the overwhelm is like, so this is what we're trying to help people do. Get clients. So if you, if you do our 5-minute Facebook groups, it's like you don't have to, prospect as hard. You don't have to convert. You don't have to create tons of content. It doesn't, you don't have to, like the process of building it, like maintaining the community is simple. Maybe that's our, maybe this is the thing that we're trying to get there. It's like we call it 5-minute Facebook groups, but it's like simple self-growing groups. Like they're not complicated to set up, they're not complicated to run, they don't take a lot of time. You don't have to do, it's like you do bare minimum of effort. Because we're like high performance laziness. It's like do this amount of work, and then all of a sudden the algorithm starts working for you and recommending your group. Your community starts recommending you because they're having a good experience. The group is converting people because they're all talking about the transformation that they all want and that they're all helping each other get, and that you accelerate the process as a business owner. It's like all of the stuff that you want, which is like engagement, conversion, growth, simplicity, time. Like you get all of this stuff if you have a simple self-growing group. And so we have a course called 5-minute Facebook groups that's we're trying to build everything that you need to create a simple self-growing group in 5 minutes a day over 5 weeks, so that you can get to a place where you've set up an environment where engagement can happen by itself, conversion can happen by itself, growth can happen by itself. So, it's simple to run this thing, and you get your time back.
Yeah, this is way more focused than what we're trying to do before.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason we want this stuff is because like at the core, like the people, the reason we would do this kind of a system is because like I'm a high performing lazy person. It's like I'll do a ton of work in a sprint so that I never have to do that work again. Like that's the kind of person I am. Like I just want it to be fun. Like I don't want, like, part of the reason that I'm this way, it's like I'll do a lot of stuff for a short period so I can just be done. It's like I just want to have fun. I don't want to be tied to my work. It's like I like the work that I do when I know what it gets me. What I don't like, what overwhelms me is like when I do a lot of work and I'm not seeing any results.
Yeah, and I think maybe that should be part of the training. Like in the beginning, it's like this is the philosophy you need to adopt in order to be successful with it.
Yeah.
This is the philosophy we use to create this entire course, and just teach them like, hey, this is the overview. This is the strategy.
Yeah, okay, so I'll give you like some real world examples of how stuff like this works. So on Facebook, like I produced a 30-minute program. So this is for a customer who already had leads. They already had an offer. And the people that were paying attention wanted what they had, so they were a good fit. So we did a live broadcast, like one time, and we got them 22 new high ticket clients. I'm gonna go look up the numbers for that. In fact, why not just look it up now? Okay. Holy cannoli. Is that per semester?
What is that? Is that a cannoli that's been made with holy water?
It's one that's already had a whole bunch of bites taken out of it.
Nice.
A quarter, full time. Okay, so that's a year, I think. Tuition and costs. Per quarter. All right. So I need to double check the numbers in here. Let's see, Wayback Machine. Let's see if I can. Excuse me. Let's go back. Let's see, what year was this? Excuse me. Um, 2017. All right. Let's look. Dirt. I love Okay, cool. So I know the exact dollar amount. 1,780. Now that's assuming that they were there for a quarter. They might have been there for the entire year, which would have been 29. 340. So let's just do the math on that. 97, 9,800, yeah, 97, 80 times 22. So 215. Okay. 29, 340. 645. So what I did was essentially a product launch that was like between $200,000 and $645,000. With one 30-minute program that was run on Facebook. I mean, we weren't putting it anywhere else. It was on Facebook. And it's like we started streaming, and that went out in front of 700 people, 700 plus. It was like 738. About 76 people clicked on it. About 22 people watched it. And that's about the amount that we doubled the film department. That was about 26 students, and then they had almost 48 students after that. So, I mean, I've got to figure out how do I turn this into so it's like, okay, I'm not going to come and like produce a 30-minute program. I mean, unless you want to pay me like $50,000. I mean, and we could talk about that, but like, what I can do is show you how you can boil your message down into a simple self-growing group. Like you have the right message for the audience, which is all this was. It's like we said what we needed to say in 30 minutes that got 22 new students that were not at that school. And the previous year we had half that many. It's like the amount of people that were coming to that school that knew about the program, that were telling their friends, hey, come to this school with me. It's like, 25, 26 students. We doubled their market because they had no message. And this simple self-growing group, it's like people think that Facebook groups need to take a lot of energy to run. But if you create the message that group wants to hear, and then you empower them to repeat that message to each other, that thing's going to grow itself without a lot of time and attention, which allows you to be lazy, have fun, be normal.
I just realized something. Our whole philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
that's what enables this to be possible. You need to teach people how to create their own philosophy for their own group and present it in such a way that when people join their group, they adopt that. And that's how the community runs itself for you because of that philosophy.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So what we're trying to do is like, all right. So I don't know about you. Like, if you want to like hustle and do tons and tons and tons of stuff, it's like great. It's like maybe this will be something you can knock out and add to the stack and be done. Like you keep hustling. Like I want to be done. I want to build a business one time that just pays me enough that I don't have to worry about it. I can pay somebody else to manage it. And it's like that, like the people who have multiple businesses, that's what they do. It's like they're not in those businesses. They have other people run them for them. You only get involved if there's like a fire burning down, everything you have. It's like whatever. And that's, I mean, like it's not just that. Like that's how I've built my teams at churches. Like it's how I take super overwhelming concepts. Like how do you run a soundboard? How do you how do you get the videos up on the screen? Direct a TV program. Like these are all things that I've taught people who have no idea how to use the technology. And I break it down super, super simple. So it's like, I've had, ladies in their 60s and 70s learn from me, learn how to run an audio board. I've had teenagers are some of my best students. Like they'll run a whole team. So it's like I've got lots of experience like reducing overwhelm and making things simple. So I can tell stories about that, like how I've earned that experience. But I was thinking it would also be fun to share some of the things of like the joke Facebook group that I started. Like one of my friends is a coach and he's like very jokey and he like posts a lot of memes and silly stuff with himself and he gets clients. Like he's a fun person and he shows that he's a fun person. He also demonstrates that he gets results, but he attracts people who want to like kind of have fun with him. So I created a Facebook group as a joke that was like there was no outcome promise. There was nothing. It's like a Facebook group for handsome Richards of the world. It's like for coaches who want to be a better Richard than they are now. It's like stupid. And I invited him to it just as a joke. So I could like do a post about how join my free group and promote your thing in my group for Richards who it was dumb. It was just, I made the group solely so I could make a joke on Facebook. And then I come back like 6 months later and there's like 7 people in the group. Not that he is invited or that I've invited. It's like these people randomly found the group and there's no content inside, just a picture of this guy and like a funny, like not even very funny, like a half funny title. It's like people joined. I mean, it's like I don't know what else to say other than it's like when you're not even trying, you can find brand new people who want to join and be part of your thing. I made a post last year in a group. I went into this group, spiritual but not religious. I asked one question. I've never gone back to that group to interact. I thought I was gonna hang out there and I really haven't. In fact, I joined the group a month or 2 ago just so I could go find that post. But like I went in there and asked a question based on the message of what that group is gathered around. And like that post has over 100 comments and I'm not talking to them. I'm not responding to them. I'm not stoking engagement. I just asked what they were wanting to talk about. And tons of people are responding and talking to each other on that. It's like almost every comment is like a new individual participating. I get messages, I get notifications every few weeks, it's like somebody else posted a comment on your post. It's like, it just keeps generating. If that was like my business, that would be like a lead generating post. It's like, you can do stuff in 2 or 3 minutes that just keeps creating new business for you. That's like how I want to do things.
What if we approach this from the angle of your group is like your personal virtual assistant? It goes out there and does the work for you.
A free.
Like maybe it doesn't need to be like, in the title or the description or like whatever, but it's just like if you explain it that way, people will understand. It's like you want to build a Facebook group in such a way that it's like you're hiring a virtual assistant and then it just goes out and does the work for you.
So simple self-growing groups are essentially a virtual assistant that doesn't sleep, doesn't cost anything, it doesn't stop working for you.
We need to make sure, because if you describe it that way, people will automatically think like, oh, this is a bot. And people have a bad image of bots. So it's like, if you pitch it that way, they're going to be like, yeah, I'm not interested in a bot. Like those are like scammy.
Well, and even, I mean, yeah, so this is a Facebook group. So this does not use bots. Doesn't use automation. It doesn't use AI technology or anything complicated. It's really
That's actually pretty intriguing.
what's that?
Like this whole structure, from what I can see at least, it's pretty intriguing.
What this really does is it leverages human psychology. It's like people want to share the stuff that they like.
Dude, you know how like food, there's a perceived increase in value and quality when you incorporate the word organic. This is it. This is the equivalent of an organic Facebook group, because like it grows organically and it's higher quality at the same time.
Yeah.
Certified organic.
Leverages organic growth. It it leverages the synergy of the group.
I mean, maybe it's just me, but synergy seems like a word that's overused that kind of loses its meaning. It's like when you say synergy, people are like, yeah, what do you mean? I don't get it.
All right, it leverages the engagement of the group.
Yeah, that works.
And I mean, there's so many different reasons. It's like it shows you when, like it literally shows you when your people are there and paying attention, when and where your audience is going to be. I mean, what if you could predict with 100% accuracy when your perfect fit prospects are going to be online engaging? Like that's when you would do like your, your best content, the stuff that you know is going to grab their attention. It's like when and where your people are. 100% of the time. I mean,
How about 1,000% of the time, but you only pay for 100?
what's that?
How about 1,000% of the time, but you only pay for 100?
But it's like you can't do that. You can't predict when and where your people are going to be unless you own the audience, unless you know exactly what they're up to. And a group will give you all of those analytics. It literally shows you the time, the day, what kind of content they talk about. There's a whole dashboard that's like super, super simple. It just shows you like, here's the days when the most people are online talking to each other. Here are the top posts from your community. It's really easy to look at. Simple. Okay, so what do we need in the perfect webinar framework? I feel like we're starting to map out a lot of the pieces. We need to kind of start plugging them in the right order. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
You know what? I'm gonna go to leave everyone who's not watching to watch nothing because you're not watching anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Really want a snack right now.
I just realized it's kind of funny to me how we're like yesterday, I bought the domain, or yesterday or the day before. Anyway, within the
Oh,
last
dude, I
few
forgot
days.
to tell you something. Go ahead.
Oh, it's just funny. It's like I bought the domain, I set everything up, and now it's like it would probably make more sense to call the course like self-growing Facebook groups. So go ahead.
So I was I was walking this morning and I literally found money. Like,
A stack of money. Nice.
yeah, it was like $49. It was it was in this like duct tape wallet with like it was like cardboard wrapped up with duct tape. And there was like no ID, like there was literally nothing in it except for like cash. On like, and it was like in the middle of the street. It wasn't on a sidewalk near anybody's house or near a car. It's like, I don't know. Like nobody's gonna find this. I mean, there's no way to know where this came from. There's no identifying anything. But I was like, it's really funny that we're in this moving forward kind of thing. And we're like, the goal isn't to get money. The goal is to like help people. And yet like money is starting to just show up.
Well, you want to know something else that's funny?
Hmm.
Literally during this conversation, I got 3 emails confirming payments from PayPal. So it's like, it's for my royalties, but it's like, just happened to receive them during this conversation.
It's interesting. I feel like in the way that sort of, I don't know, we've talked about this before, but it's like when you do this is the language that money speaks. It's like show somebody how you're valuable to them so that they'll trade you something that's valuable for what you have is valuable. And like we're doing the work of like not just talking about, oh yeah, that'd be great, but it's like, okay, somebody else has already developed a system. It's like, let's use that. Let's do what somebody else who knows what they're talking about is showing how to do, actually do that. And like, that's what we're doing. And it's like, it's creating money. It doesn't even have to come from like a buyer, like buying what we have, but it's like, this is the what we should be doing is be a normal, be a normal business. Don't try to be special. Just be normal. Don't act weird.
Okay, it's funny that you're talking about like this is the language that money speaks, because literally this morning in the challenge, the guy mentioned like in order to make 6 figures, you need to become worth 6 figures.
Mhm.
And it's like, yep, that's what we're doing. We're not at 6 figures yet. We're more like 2 to 3 figures.
1 to 2 figures. It's like, well, I mean, literally 2 figures. It's like I found
Yep, you and me.
$49 on the ground. Grow a 2-figure business by being lazy, having fun, and being normal.
I'm trying to think of a joke, but I can't think of this setup, so go figure.
Want to see my high performance laziness framework for how you can do no work and make a mid two figure bit
Mid, not even high two figures, mid two figures. I think this high performance thing is more like high performance.
Oh, did I tell you that I found some marijuana on the ground yesterday too?
No. Wow, you find a lot of things.
I just go for walks every day, I guess.
True, very few people walk nowadays. So.
It's like, I mean, I think this is the same thing. It's like having a vehicle. It's like maybe having a presentation like this is like it's your own two legs until you like build it into like a Lamborghini. But it's like this is the vehicle, and you got to take it out of the garage, drive it up and down the streets, basically put it in front of people over and over and over again. And like once in a while, you'll find something cool. And you just keep doing it until you finally it's like, oh, you know what? I know what streets where the rich people are like just constantly throwing out nice stuff. It's like, it's like you start to learn where should I take this vehicle that I'll just find really valuable like valuable stuff to me.
That's so funny too, because ever since you like came up with the concept of self-growing group, I'm like trying to come up with like clever like names of like, all right, what is the process of cells multiplying? And it's like, all right, how can we incorporate? It's like, no, that's just gonna make things super complicated. People are gonna be like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what's a mitosis Facebook group? Or like, super clever names. You're like, that's so smart, but people are like, I don't get it.
Yeah. So I feel like if we can get this, like if I do this presentation, a couple dozen times in front of live people, and then like after each presentation, take notes of like, oh, what did people ask questions about, or what did they say that they really liked? And you just make a little iteration to the presentation, you add some notes. So it's like you're refining it really fast. Then this can essentially become a workshop. It's like, this is your $27, $37 workshop that it's the same thing as the perfect webinar, but it's like, you can qualify people who are, it's like they're buyers and they're interested in what you have right away. It's like, I think you can still have a funnel where you offer it for free, but I think there's like a way that you figure out who, like who would buy it right away.
What if, like, this would be more down the line, but what if we use this like principle, this philosophy, and create like in a mini course or something like that? Like if just, it's $37 or whatever. It's like that we use that product as an epiphany bridge to get people to go through that identity shift. And by the time they're at the end, then we're like, all right, now that you're this person, here's the next step.
Oh, dude, I know what the workshop is too. Just literally launch a self-growing group in, 90 minutes, 60 minutes, or whatever, however long the presentation is. So it's like, we're walking them through like 90% of the webinar. So like, we just structure it as like, here's why it's really important that you have a clear message. It's like, if you don't have that, then you won't get the engagement, you won't get the conversions, you won't get the growth, you won't get the simplicity. It's like we want to be lazy. We want to have a group that's really simple to run. It doesn't take a lot of time to run. You don't have to constantly show up in the group for it to run by itself. So if you want to keep having fun and be lazy, it's like, you've got to build this with the normal things that businesses have, which is you need to say super clearly what your product is. Like, we don't call the broom at the store when you like in the cleaning section of the store, there's like the brooms, the mops, you don't call it like 10 10x high performing bristle dirt remover. Like, it's like, what is it? It's a broom. It's like, if you know you need a broom, here's where the brooms are. And that's what we're doing with the business. It's like, help people know where the things that they're looking for are. And the first thing they should see in your group is that video that's like, here's why we're here. Here's what you should be looking for if you want to be part of this group. Here's how I can help you get that thing if you pay me. And if you're not going to pay me, hang out. And this is how I want you to act in this group. Like, that's what I should be teaching people that simple self-grow groups should be doing. It's like how I have been to so many groups where they're like, start here, watch this video. And it's like, they don't say anything useful for the first 2 minutes. And by then I'm like, it's like, I can't even watch 30 seconds of somebody's video if they don't immediately get to the point of like, why should I care about what you're talking to me about?
Sorry, I'm just Googling, dang. Because I was thinking like simple self-grown groups. That is SSGG. I'm like, is ss-gg.com taken? And unfortunately it is.
Is simple self-growing groups available? Oh, well, we already have 5-minute Facebook groups. I mean, we can put that in big giant letters at the top of the land page.
Yeah. I mean, as we go through this process, I think once we get to the end and we're like, all right, everything's done, everything's good, we can launch this.
Yeah.
If we want, we can just say like, oh, let's spend another $10 to get the URL that makes more sense. Like, you know, it's not really a big deal.
Self-growing groups is available. Simple. I still think we should have like a show where we just like look up domains.
Yep. Simple self-grown groups.com is available. Sorry.
Clientgettinggroups.com.
Anyway, let's not waste time on domains. We've done that way too often. All right, so I guess we have what we need. Should we start building up the funnel or the webinar?
Do we have all the pieces?
I think so. I mean, we're clear on what we're offering. Now it's just a question of going through and figuring out what are the stories that we need to convey.
Okay, so what is the formula? The formula is origin story, big domino.
Well, yeah, the origin story is what knocks over the big domino.
Okay, so the origin story is the big domino. And
It's
then
like the big domino is we need to get them to realize like self-growing groups are the answer to all my business problems. And we convince them of that by sharing the story that illustrates, I used to be like you, I used to struggle and do all these things, and I realized that is the solution. It's like, if we get them to that point where they're like, yep, okay, you're right, that's the solution, then it's just a question of, all right, what is the vehicle? How do we share the story and, you know, share that framework? And then the internal and the external. That's it.
Yeah.
So what would be the story to share that, or like to knock over that big domino?
Okay, so here's what's coming up from you right away.
Your fingers.
Yeah, it's like we haven't done this ourselves. So we either need a case study to show that like what we're actually showing works. But what I don't like about what we've got so far is like we're showing little pieces that all work individually. So it's like, okay, here's what a good message will do. You can get high ticket clients and grow your audience. here's what a Facebook group can do. It can nurture your audience without you having to do a lot of work. It can grow by itself, but like we don't have all of those things in one place where it's like, here's an example of what we're teaching, which is get your message right, put that in your group, create the environment where connection can happen, and just let it grow. It's like, we need to show that. Like Brian's group doesn't fulfill that. And I don't know of any groups that I'm a part of that are a good demo of this. I could probably find, I mean, honestly, like if I did a case study document of like, here are 10 self-grown groups that are all over like 50,000 members or more. It's like, they're not inviting that many people, I promise you. This thing is growing by itself. What is the thing that's in common with these groups?
So I guess that gives us two options. Either do it ourselves or find someone and do it for them and use that as a case study, but that delays everything by weeks or months. Or find groups that have done that,
Mhm.
or just change the offer.
Yeah, so it's like the offer can still be like, that's the vehicle, but it's like, instead of the domino being simple self-grown groups, it's like, I mean, it's essentially like clear marketing message, which people know that they need. The way that I get it is I interview you and then I like help you line up the information since I'm.
So how about complicated, non-growing groups? No, complicated, self-shrinking groups.
Okay, let's see if.
So let's just go back to basics, because like we would like to be able to sell a simple self-grown group, but if we
Yeah.
don't have the proof, then we can't sell that. We can't promise that. What can you deliver? What can you promise?
A good story.
Okay. Are people willing to pay $1,000 for that? Because like the mechanism remains the same. It's still the same, like, launch, grow, automate,
Yeah.
or monetize, automate in 5 minutes per day. That is not changing, but it's like,
Yeah.
what's the promise that we're making with this?
Oh. I'm so stupid.
I mean, of course, but why?
This is where we use the unlikely customer to prove it's like, if it works in this situation, it definitely should work for online marketing. So it's like, I can talk about the Bible app, which is like, who wants to go to an adult Bible study on the weekend with like a group of 300-400 people? You don't know all those people. It's like that sounds on paper like the most boring thing ever. And if you are like, if you're a Christian, if you go to church, like, that it's the most boring thing ever. Adult ministry is dead. This is why North American churches are dying, because people don't do Bible study in a way that actually is engaging, that actually builds community. So here we have this group where it's like, standing room only. They have to have a reservation checkout system for you to reserve a seat. Like people are waiting in line to get into this thing. And then, you know, when we couldn't meet, we went online and did like a broadcast from Roy's living room, and like we got in front of another, you know, 500,000 impressions over the summer. And we probably had man, this is why I wish I had a VA. I'm gonna go find these numbers. It's like I could probably guess if we had like 16 videos times 3,000. So we probably had around 50,000 views, about 500,000 new people that we got in front of, and some really crazy, like a lot of these people are like old, like, you know, older people. They're like having engaged community online during a live stream, and then as new people are coming and joining the chat, they're like welcoming them into the community. I wasn't doing that because I was running the broadcast. Roy wasn't doing that because he was like talking, doing the podcast. The community was the one growing it. The algorithm is like, oh, there's already people here. I'm going to reward that behavior. And so it's like, if this will work for one of the like most boring, unlikely, it's like, how many churches do you know of that have 400 people that are waiting in line to have a Bible study? It's like, that is the weirdest thing you could ever think of. And apparently, you know, if you have the right message, which for our community was like, you're gonna have the same experience, it's gonna be a consistent experience, it's gonna be a world-class experience where you can actually connect with other people and share your opinion and your perspective in front of the group, and and learn from other people as well. That's having a clear message that people wanted to buy into was something where they were, you know, the group was the one that grew itself. Roy started with, he personally invited 18 people. It's like, this is when there was nothing. And we had like a tiny room upstairs. He said, hey, I'm gonna try this thing. I'm gonna do like a group Bible study. So he invited 18 people. And after that, he didn't invite any individual people anymore. It's like everybody else invited more people, and everybody else invited more people, to the point where we had people talking to each other and interacting online during a live stream. And that amount of engagement was something that was like, the algorithm liked that and shared it out to almost 1 million more people that year.
So it sounds to me like the key to all of this is the community culture. So what we're selling is yogurt Facebook groups.
Yeah, that's true. So it's the culture of growth.
But the thing is, like, we can't sell it. That's not something people are looking for. That's just the way we deliver it.
Right.
So how do we describe that so that people are like, yes, this is what I need? So it's like Facebook groups, I would say at this point, it's a red ocean. So how do we come up with the blue ocean at the center of that red ocean? To be fair, if we use like yogurt Facebook groups, people, like, some people would just be like, what the hell is that? And they'll opt in just out of pure curiosity. Probably not a good strategy, but we might get a couple people attending the webinar.
So we're offering to turn your Facebook group into a yogurt maker. Okay, I feel like we're almost there. I feel like you're right. It's like it's the culture of growth that we're actually productizing. It's not the groups itself. It's like, but like your customers are on Facebook. There's a billion people on Facebook. It's like you have to approach those customers the right way that people are engaging on Facebook, which is not sell first. It's like human connection first.
I guess it is self-growing groups. Because by creating that kind of culture, it is going to create that same effect you were just describing.
Okay, so maybe that's what it is. Okay, it's self-growing groups, simple. Self-growing groups. So simple self-growing groups. SSGG. Is that why you're like, what if you did SG2X?
Or S squared, G squared.
Self-growing simple groups. What
Yeah,
about,
but I don't know. Anyway, that's not important. Those are like
Okay,
unimportant
yeah.
details that we're just,
simple
we
self?
get distracted by stuff like that when it's completely unimportant. Zig zig.
We need a culture of growth. We need a
So hold on, let's approach this from a perfect webinar perspective. So the three elements we need to cover is the vehicle, the internal, and the external.
okay. So the
Everything else is
vehicle,
just going to be like part of the course and part of the training. It's like the whole point of the webinar, all we need right now is what are we pitching? Self-growing groups.
right?
Okay. What are those three elements, those three frameworks that are can convince them of this is the right vehicle for me? I believe this can be done, and I believe I can do it.
Okay, so let me just finish this real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Simple, just so I don't. Simple to do. Oh. Okay, I don't need to figure this out. This is. Okay. That's what this is. I just need to plug in like what we call those, but it's like a simple self-growing group, like the culture of growth allows you to have fun because it's like it's going to grow itself. It's the laziness is like it needs to be something you do once and you just leave it alone and it does its thing. So that's what this is for, to explain how that works. But what you're saying is, so how do I? So the thing is the self-growing groups. Simple self-growing groups. That's what we're selling.
Yeah. We're selling simple self-growing groups to Gangs. I was trying to add an extra S and G, but
Into what?
never mind. Not important whatsoever.
And then the internal belief is what? Will it work?
Well, let's figure out what's the big domino. The big domino is convincing them self-growing groups is the answer to all your business problems.
Right.
So I guess step one is what is the story we need to share in order to convince them of that?
Okay, so it's like all your business problems boil down to this one thing. It's like you're doing a bunch of stuff. Either you're doing too much, you're not doing the right things, you're working yourself too hard, you're not working smart. It's like you think all of that stuff, it's like none of that's right. Has nothing to do with that. It's like you're trying to be a person who you're not really meant to be. So our framework is like we finally realized that what we're really good at, the people that we are in the business that we want to build, it's like we want to have a lazy business. We want to have fun in the business. We want to we want to have like a normal business that makes money. It's like, and so like the way that we figured out to do this is simple self-growth groups. It's a group that
Makes sense.
allows you to do the work once. It allows you to have fun because there's a culture of invitation, and this is something that will like just work on repeat. Like you get engagement, you get conversion, you get growth, simplicity, your time back, all that stuff happens automatically because the principles of business are working. We're not trying to be so special and unique that like people don't know what it is. It's a business. And it's like, this is a normal, vanilla, regular business. Except in our model, it's all built on a group. So you don't have to do email sequencing, you don't have to do webinars, you don't have to do all the crap in your business that you don't like to do. You don't have to constantly market, you don't have to do all sorts of stuff. So it's like, so that's the thing, that's the
I'm just picturing you in the webinar, like you don't have to do webinars. Webinars suck, don't they? Oh wait, this is a webinar. Never mind.
I mean, the webinar for me is validation. It's like this, we do this as market research, but once you know what your market wants, all of this can boil down into, it's like this can be a 5-minute video in a group, and the group is the only funnel we need.
True, although since the webinar funnel has been proven time and time again, like once we perfect it, all we have to do is just drive traffic to it and everything else is done by itself. Then again, if Facebook groups work, we don't even need to drive the traffic.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like if you can create the baseline amount of engagement so that the algorithm grows it for you, it's like then you have, I don't know.
It
I
would
would
be
rather-
funny if we end up building that 2 comma club funnel, but we actually are making more from the Facebook group that runs itself.
That would be funny.
Actually, that's probably what's gonna happen. Because we're working super hard on this one thing, but the results come from somewhere else. That's how it works. So that's probably what's gonna happen. That or some other version of that.
Well, I mean the thing with any business is like once you have surplus, you want to give it away. You want to give it to other people. So it's like, all right, so the person I'm going to give it to is not just some guy on the street. It's like, well, you're starting your Facebook ads business. I'd be happy to give you some money if what you're going to do is going to value my business. So it's like, go run Facebook ads and create a whole bunch of new traffic. And you're welcome to have a cut of what I'm doing if you're supporting the ecosystem. It's like, but in terms of being a normal person running a business and having a life, it's like I don't want to go learn Facebook ads. I don't want to do paid traffic before I know what I'm doing. It's like I want to do stuff that's like just a few minutes a day, and it is going to work. It's going to grow. And it's like you don't have to get to the 7 figures with organic traffic. You need to get to like, 30K. And some people make like 100, K or more a month using only organic traffic. Now that doesn't mean that they're not like paying a staff of VAs and have a bunch of appointment setters and stuff, but it's like you can make a lot of money without paying for ads.
All right, so self-growing or simple self-growing groups
So what is the
is
belief?
the concept.
What is
the
in the perfect webinar? What was the thing that you were saying? What's that?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I'm going through. So it's like step one, the first 15 minutes is the origin story. That like epiphany bridge story of you used to be like them, you're struggling, you tried, and then at some point, like there was that click where you're like, oh, that's the solution. I get it now.
Mhm.
Like get them to knock over that big domino and get to the point where it's like, all right, I understand why simple self-grown groups is the solution.
So this is our big domino.
I can't see anything because of the poor quality image, the lighting, and the color of the pen. So just tell me what it says. Big domino. Okay.
Reality is a reflection of you. You just need to take responsibility for. It's such a stupid. Okay. All right. So the big domino is.
I think if we have the thought of like the big domino is they need to become convinced that SSGG is the answer to all their problems. Like if that's our entire focus throughout the webinar, I think like we're going to be good.
No, I think you're on the right track.
Full of shit.
What's that?
Full of shit.
No, what you said was convince, and I don't think that that's right. It's like the people we're talking to are like us. They want this. They already have this desire. It's like they may not have realized or worked themselves back to the place where they see, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed because really I'm a lazy person. It's like I just want my business to be fun. Like the whole reason I got into this was because I thought, oh, I don't have to work for anybody else. I can make my own money. That's going to be amazing. I'm going to have time to spend with my kids. And it's like, well, you're doing all this stuff to have a business and you're not having any fun. So it's like, but if what you really want is to have fun, as a business owner, it's like actually from the business and you tell it what to do instead of it telling you what to do. And then the be normal is like normal businesses make money. If your business is not making money, your business is not normal. Your business is the special child that wants to like shove jelly beans up their nose.
Okay, I think you're right. It's not about convincing them that they need.
It's like how many ways can we
making
say
them realize it?
you don't have to be overwhelmed if you're building a business, and if they realize that that's what we're talking about, it's like I don't want to be overwhelmed having a business. And if we can convince them that a simple self-growing group will work to give them this, then they're bought in. If they want this, they're looking to see, does this really work? They're not asking, do I want a simple self-growing group? They're asking, is what they're promising actually true? Because they already want this. Now we might find that this market is actually way too small, and the only way we can find that out is by doing this in front of people. But
I feel like that's more like the culture element. Like we don't need to explicitly convey that in the webinar. It's more like we present it that way. Like this is our philosophy, this is how we do business. And it's like, because in the training when we were watching, he's like, my goal is to convince them that like funnels is the answer to their business.
Mhm.
And it's like that's the same thing. Like we need to convince them that simple self-growing groups is the answer. And it's like that's going to give them what they want, which is, you know, that freedom and everything. But that's just like part of the culture, part of our business and who we are. Because if we like, if that's our big domino, then we go back to exactly where we were before, which is the big domino is not selling what we're trying to sell. So it's like if we want the like lazy and fun and normal to be the big domino, then we need to sell the course teaching them how to do that. So it's like if we're selling simple self-grown groups, then that's what the big domino needs to be.
Yeah. Um, uh,
And the thing is, like, that could be our next product. It's like once we do this and we're like, all right, webinar works and everything, we just kind of like use that and fill in the blanks and just pre-sell a course. It's like, hey, are you overwhelmed? We're teaching you how to be like become a high performance lazy person, have fun doing your business, and be so normal that you become super normal. Because like that's what Russell was saying before. Like if you try to convince people of more than one thing in the webinar, your conversions are going to go down by 50%.
yeah.
Like we just need to convince them simple self-grown groups is the answer. Like that's the entire point of the webinar. Because I feel like, you know, for our group, for our culture, it's like it's that principle of lazy, fun, and normal. And the product version of that is simple self-grown groups.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here.
I would love it if one day we create a course called Pancake Millions.
Pancake millions.
That would be amazing. Uh, I could be wrong, but you seem stuck in that like analysis mode.
Okay, so the big domino is like, just get them to believe that the self-grown groups is the thing. What's the next idea or framework that we need to do?
So the big thing is like first portion is just knocking over that big domino and sharing the origin story. The next section is the first framework, which is the vehicle. Then the second framework, which is the internal. And then the third framework, which is the external. And then the last part is just, the offer, the stack, and the close.
So the vehicle, so this is like explaining how it works.
Yeah, if you want, we can finish watching the training because that's what he was going over next.
And then what is the last thing? The external is.
Yeah, so there's vehicle, internal, external. It's like once we cover those three things and like overcome those three objections, that's when they're ready for the sale. So it's like every step of the way. It's like as Russell was saying, like some people will be ready to buy after that first origin story where that big domino is knocked over. Other people are like, yeah, but I'm not sure if this course is going to be right for me. If you convince them of that, they're like, yeah, but I'm not sure if I'm good enough for that. It's
Gotcha.
like if you convince, like, yeah, okay, but there's external factors that will stop me. Like I don't have the money, or I don't have the time, or whatever that is. And then we overcome that. It's like, okay, I'm convinced that I need this. I know this course can help me get what I want. I know that I can do it. And I know that there's nothing standing in my way. And at that point, they have no objection to buy it. And then it's just a question of you're getting all this value for a fraction of the price.
Okay, so the vehicle is the what is it? So it's the framework of how does your magic thing that you're selling work?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, the origin story is
Internal.
convince them that they need what you want. So it's like, this is what you want. And then it's like, all right, here's the course, here's the structure, here's the vehicle. Like that's how you're going to get the results.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because yeah, like you're saying, like all those three secrets is just overcoming an objection. So the first objecting is like we overcome that objection, and then this objection, and then this objection.
Yeah.
Because they've done it enough that they've proven like those are the three big objections you need to overcome in order to get someone to buy. And it's like if we finish watching the training, he's going to go over that in detail and explain everything. So it's like I'm explaining the basics. Of course, he's way better at explaining it than me. Because I've just studied this. He's done it multiple times.
And then
So if you want, what we can do is just hold on. Let me check how much time is left in the video.
yeah, let's go ahead and finish it.
Yeah, there's maybe like 20 minutes left.
You know what? I'm gonna take some pictures of this, what we have so far, because sometimes this TV turns off.
Yep. Okay, I'm just gonna share screen and get things ready.
Okay.
Perfect, because we're literally at the point. It's like if the big domino doesn't fall, oh, the vehicle, internal beliefs, external beliefs. We're perfectly at the right spot. So yeah, I think what we can do is just finish going through this, and then if you want, we can take a break for lunch or something, kind of like give our brain a little break, and then we can come back and just kind of like knock it out. I'll take that as yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
three things. Okay, the first one, these are three core false beliefs. The first one is false beliefs about the vehicles. What is the vehicle? The vehicle is the thing that I'm trying to put you into. Okay, and I talked about earlier, like whatever we're selling, we're trying to give somebody a result, right? So here's a result. Okay, weight loss, you can make more money, whatever your thing is. So in my world, I'm trying to convince people that they can make more money. That's the big result, right? Now there's a lot of vehicles they can use to make more money, right? They can invest in the stock market, they can buy Bitcoin, they could sell stuff on Amazon, on eBay, on Etsy. There's a million different vehicles they can use to try to get this result, right? And so I'm going to be my origin story telling them about why this vehicle is the greatest one in the world, right? I'm telling that story about this. So it means like the vehicle that makes most money for me is funnels, right? So I got to convince them that this vehicle is the greatest vehicle in the world. Okay. So that's the very first false belief. They're like, that's awesome for you, but like, I think Amazon's still best, right? I think it's easier to do this way, right? Or in the diet world, right? The end result, I want to get 6-pack abs. Okay, you're here and they're like, well, I learned about the paleo diet and the keto diet and this diet. Like 100 different vehicles. What's the vehicle you're trying to put them into? Okay, so origin story is going to tell your journey about why this vehicle got you that result, right? That's what origin story the first 15 minutes is. But then those who don't buy immediately, it's because one of the things. Number one, they do not yet. Sorry, my camera's hard to see my hands right. They don't yet believe that this vehicle is the right vehicle for them to get the result that you're promising. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, now if you can convince them the vehicle is the right vehicle, the second one is like, what vehicle's awesome? I think they can actually do that, but I don't know if I could do it. Like I blah blah blah, like all these, but they couldn't do it, right? So second false belief is the internal false belief. I don't think I can actually do it. Okay, now if you get them to believe the vehicle's the right vehicle, I think I can actually do it. And the third thing I was looking for is like, what's got some other external reason why it won't work, right? So the third one is the external false belief. Like it may work. I think it's the right vehicle. I think I can do it, but there's a reason why I can't, right? In the weight loss industry, the biggest one is always like, well, I think I can stick to that, but my wife's always buying cookies and Cheetos for the kids. There's no way I can actually because of that, right? Or my world's like, well, that's cool. Funnels are great. I don't know how to do traffic because of that. I can't do it, right? There's always a that. So that's the third core false belief. Okay, so again, the origin story pushes down the big domino. Boom. Okay, some people will buy by the time it's done. Okay, the majority won't buy because of one of these three things or all three of them. So the next 45 minutes of my presentation, the entire goal is for me to break the false beliefs around the vehicle, the internal false beliefs, and the external false beliefs. If I do that, the domino will fall and they have to give me money. Okay, that's the big thing. I'm not trying to sell them on 4 different things. Okay, all these things are tied to the domino. Okay, I shared my origin story that funnels, great things, sliced bread. I'm not trying to sell funnels and this and this. I'm trying to like get rid of all the false beliefs tied to this domino. If I get rid of that, the domino falls and you have to get started. Okay, so this makes more sense as we kind of go into it, but that's the core thing I always understand. Okay, so after I told the origin story, the first 15 minutes, the next 15 minutes of my presentation, this is where I'm going to introduce them to my first secret. Where I'm going to try to break any false beliefs they have about the vehicle. Okay, so the vehicle, I shall show you the next thing. So the vehicle right here is basically the framework that you're sharing with them. Okay. So again, my first story is telling about funnels. Okay. And so I told the origin story. Here's why funnels are racing the world. So I believe I'm so excited. Oh, you're excited. Now I go into my 3 secrets. Okay. So secret number 1 now, I'm sharing my framework for how I use funnels. Okay. So if you see my funnel hacks presentation, I say secret number 1 is called funnel hacking. Okay. I'm going to show you how to ethically steal over $1 million with funnel hacks for competitors for under $100. Okay. So that is my framework. The framework is called funnel hacking. Okay, it's a framework to show you how to use this vehicle of funnels. Okay, my headline for it is how to ethically steal over $1 million with funnel hacks for competitors for under $100. Okay, does that make sense? So this is the actual framework that I'm teaching now in secret number 1. Okay, so again, I told my origin story. Now there's 3 frameworks I'm going to be teaching. This is why I spent so much time teaching the framework, how to use frameworks. Okay, so let me show you how this works. And there's one difference when I just taught you how we actually do it in a webinar. Okay, when I'm teaching somebody a framework, I use this whole framework, how to use frameworks. When I'm doing it in a webinar, there's one step that I'm skipping on purpose. Okay, and it's step number 3. When I'm teaching on a webinar, I'm telling them the story of how I learned and earned it. I'm telling them the strategy, and I skip the tactics because the tactics are the thing that they're buying at the end. And I show them my social proof. Okay, that's the key. We're skipping step number 3 because that's what they're buying in the end. Okay, so I teach them the framework, I share them the strategy, skip the tactics, and then I give them social proof. Okay, so let me show how this works in mine. Okay. So as I teach the first secret, I'm telling my second story now. Okay, so I do this. Okay, here's the vehicle. For me, it's funnels. So you can do whatever. I say, okay, here is the title of my framework. It's called funnel hacking. And in this framework, I'm going to show you guys how to ethically steal over $1 million with funnel hacks for competitors for under $100. That's my creative title to make it sexy and exciting. Okay, so for you, you can make it your title as well. I always call these 3 secrets. Okay, you can call them 3 strategies, 3 hacks, 3 whatever. But I like 3 secrets. That's just I'm a secrets guy. My books are called secrets, so I call them 3 secrets. My first secret now is the first framework, which is funnel hacking. And this is going to show them why I believe that the vehicle that I told them earlier in my origin story, why this is the greatest thing to slice bread. Okay, so I do that. Boom. Here's the framework. Okay, now I'm telling you how I learned I earned it. Right. If you see my presentation, I tell them the story about how Tony Robbins taught me about modeling. Blah blah blah. Right. So these slides there talk about you can always tell who pioneers are because they have arrows in the back. I tell the story about how I learned or I earned this concept of funnel hacking. Okay, so that next I move on to the actual strategies. For me, I walk through. Here's the 5-step strategy funnel hacking. Step number 1, you find some successful funnel hack. Step number 2, you actually buy the product. Step number 3, you sketch out a blueprint. Step number 4, you then build it inside of ClickFunnels. So I go through the strategy. Here's the 5 steps. Boom, 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 boom. Now I'm skipping me actually going through the tactics. That'll take me a day and a half to walk through the actual tactics of somebody doing all the things here in the strategy. Okay, and then go to social proof. Like, let me show you how I did it with Drew or Organifi. I help them funnel hack. They launch a funnel, have a success, and boom. Okay, so that's my next 15 minutes. I'm taking my framework, right? I introduce the framework. I tell the story about how I learned, I earned it. I then break down here's the strategy, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here's success stories from those who's done this in the past. Okay, now if I've done that correctly, guess what's gonna happen? Okay, they're like, oh my gosh, Russell's right. The vehicle is racing. I do need a funnel, right? This is where over here, and this is where over here they got the options. They got eBay, Amazon, SEO, PPC, all these different vehicles they could pick to get this result over here. And hope that time I'm like, oh my gosh, I think funnels are like that is the best thing. That is the right vehicle. They get out of this car over here. They jump in the funnel car, and now I got them on this journey of success. Okay, if they don't believe that you have the right vehicle for them to get the result they're looking for, they're not going to follow you on the next step in the journey. Okay, that's why I tell the Epiphany Bridge story. That's why I do secret number 1 because it's going to show them that framework, make it simple for them to understand it, and now they're going to go on this journey with you. Does that make sense? Okay, so if I did that right, I just destroy the first false belief they have about the vehicle. Okay, now I'm going to transition to false belief number 2, which is the internal belief. So that's like, oh, Russell, you're right, vehicles are the greatest thing in the world, but I'm not technical. I don't know if I can do it. Or you're right, Russell, ketosis is the greatest weight loss program in the world, but I don't know if I can actually stick to it because I love eating ice cream, right? Like this is where like you convince them of one thing, but they don't know if they can actually do it. Okay, so this is where I transition next in my presentation. Okay, so this now becomes the next 15 minutes, from 30 minutes to 45 minutes. The next 15-minute window, my entire goal is to show them the framework that's going to give them the internal belief. They're like, oh my gosh, I could actually do this. Okay, that's the goal next 15 minutes. So how do I do that? I introduce them to my next framework. Okay, so my next framework here is called funnel cloning. Okay, so first is funnel hacking. That's framework number 1. I introduce them to framework number 2 now is called funnel cloning. So now I'm going to show them how to clone the proven funnels like ClickFunnels in less than 10 minutes. Okay, and I go back here. And all I'm doing is going to take this framework. Okay, so I introduce the framework. Secret number 2 is called funnel cloning.
Let me know when you're done and I'll keep it going.
Okay.
The second framework you're going to learn is called funnel cloning. Let me show you how it works. Okay, before I do, let me tell you the story about how I learned I earned it. Okay, I go through like back in the day, we had to do blah blah blah. I tell the story about how I learned I earned this concept. Okay, then I go into the strategy. Okay, so for ClickFunnels, the strategy is the demo. Step 1, I pick a template. Step 2, I drew a thing, I drag and drop. I show a demo of what it is I'm doing. Right, that's showing the overarching strategy. Right, after the demo, then I go and I show them social proof. Here's Alex Layla. Here's social. I show all people who use ClickFunnels has success. Okay, and if I've done this correctly, by the time the next 15 minutes is over, they've seen the strategy. Right, I told the story about how I learned. They're excited. They see the overarching strategy. Like, oh, that's awesome. I can actually do that. They see social proof. Like, this is awesome. I think I can do it. Okay, and that's the goal. Okay, the Alex Layla, this came in Poland. Okay, so again, first thing, I got them to believe the vehicle's right vehicle. And I'm like, I think I can actually do this vehicle. This is amazing. I'm gonna be successful. They're so excited. Oh, but what about that? I don't know how to drive traffic. My wife buys cookies. But like, what's the external thing they're pointing to? It's going to be passing the blame on somebody else because they know it's the right vehicle. They know they can actually do it. They have to have someone else to blame. So I got to take away that last thing. The last thing to blame. If I take away that, the domino falls and they have to give me money. Okay. So my last 15 minutes presentation is breaking the external false beliefs. So this is the reason why I can't do it. Okay. All right. So again, this is the last 15 minutes. If I've done this correctly, by the time secret number 3 is done, I will have been exactly an hour in this presentation. So again, big domino, the origin story's first 15 minutes, secret 1's 15, secret 2's 15, secret 3's 15. So it should be about an hour. So the walkie works. It's very similar to all the other ones. What do? I introduce a framework. This framework is my number 1 traffic hack. That's the framework. Okay. And what I'm going to teach them in this framework is how to get the exact same customers who are go to my competitors' funnels, start coming to your funnels instead. So there's a framework what they're going to learn when they learn this framework. Okay. So I introduce the framework. Boom. In the slides, there's a framework. Here's the story how I learned, I earned it. Boom, boom. Got Google Slap. I tell them the story how I learned, I earned it. Here's the strategy. Okay. Step number 1, you go to SimilarWeb. Step number 2, you type in this. Step number 3, step number 4, I walk them through the strategy of how they get traffic this way, right? And that's what social proof how me and other people have done it. They see that like, oh my gosh, I can actually get traffic. So my business, that is traffic, right? There's an easy way to get traffic, and then they're like, oh, I could get traffic. This is the right vehicle. I can actually do it. Now when I get traffic, like, there's no way I can not have success, right? This is the result I want. Here's the vehicle. I got you the vehicle. There's another vehicle back. And they jump in the car, and now they're ready to go, and they're ready to go to the finish line with you. Okay. And so that's how these things work. See how the frameworks are tied into there. So any presentation I give, I have an origin story about the thing that I believe, and I have 3 frameworks I teach. Framework about why this is the right vehicle for them. The framework about how they can actually do it, and the framework for that destroys any false beliefs about why other people are saying why it can't work. Okay. That's kind of the process works. So those are the 4 stories you have to tell inside your presentation.
So he kind of hopped over the external beliefs, but if it was like external beliefs are just like, what are some of the logistical things?
Well, what is the thing outside of themselves that's going to stop them? So in his example, it's like people don't believe they're going to be able to get traffic to their funnel. So it's like, that's the thing. It's like, we're in the beginning, we're going to have to guess or use your market research in order to figure out exactly what those beliefs are.
Yeah.
But it's like, as we go along, we're going to figure out like, all right, people are getting stuck here. What is the belief we need to overcome to get that? So it's like, as we perfect it, it's going to become more and more effective. But it's just a question of picking like, how do we convince them that like simple self-growing funnels is the thing for them? Yeah. Then how do we show them that they can do it? And then how do we show them that there's nothing outside of them that can stop them? And so we just do that by addressing whatever biggest belief fits in whichever category. Make sense?
Create a table rush. Your origin story, your 3 frameworks, they're going to go through and walk them through the process. Okay. And again, if you remember on the framework, how to use frameworks, you're skipping step number 3. You're not teaching the tactics because the thing they're buying at the end is the actual tactics from you. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Again, if my story turns to their story, then all their false beliefs fall and they have to give me money. If they don't give you money at that point, it means that they're lying to themselves. They're like, oh my gosh, the story's amazing. I think that's right. I believe the vehicle's right. I believe I can do it. I believe something else. If they don't buy now, they just internally like, I know this is true, but I'm not doing it. Right? And the better you do it telling these stories, the better you do it sharing these frameworks and breaking the false beliefs through this process, the more likely they are to actually buy at the end. Okay, so I go from a 5% conversion to a 10 to 15% is the better you get at doing this. Okay. And hopefully if you had a chance, depending on how you got this product, you got the upsells, things, you have a chance to see a bunch of webinars of me doing it over and over and over and over again. Hopefully it shows you guys like, okay, I see it. There's origin story. Framework 1, framework 2, framework 3, stories, how you learned, you earned it, strategy, social proof, and then we just keep modeling that over and over and over and over again. Okay. Now, after you've done that, that's now taken the webinar, and we are at entire hour. Now we want to step number 3, which is now we're done with the teaching portion, right? Teaching is to tell them stories, share the frameworks, break their false beliefs, and we transition to the stack and the close. Now, traditionally, the stack and the close is the last part of this framework here, and it takes again, the first 60 minutes is the origin story, secret 1, 2, 3, and then the last, the stack and close is another 30 minutes. Okay, so typically most of my presentations are 90 minutes long. When I speak on stage, I will only do it if I do 90-minute time slots. Less than that, I will not do it. Okay, when I do webinar, it's always 90 minutes at least. Now, I do want to stress one thing. The actual time matters less than the ratios. Okay, if you look at Jamie Cross, when she tried to do the perfect webinar selling her soap, she's selling like a $30 soap bar or $50, whatever it was, and 90 minutes was too long to teach somebody why they did the soap. So she took this 90-minute webinar and she compressed it down into just 5 minutes, and it worked for her product. Okay, the reason why she didn't destroy the framework, she did the same thing, right? She told her origin story, secret 1, 2, 3, stack and close, and made the offer. But the ratio stayed the same, right? If you have six things, right? 6 15-minute segments. You can shrink it down to 6 2-minute segments if you need to. Also, your 12 minutes, whatever that thing is, right? So she took the same 90-minute framework, shrunk it down into a 5-minute webinar, and it worked for her. Okay, so it's just taking the same concept and shrinking it. What's nice about this is you can give your presentation. I can do it in 90 minutes, I can do it in 60, I can do it in 30, I can do it in 5. But I don't skip parts. Like all the pieces are important because this is how you resolve all the concerns. Okay, so the equivalent you talk to someone on the phone face to face and they go, why are you gonna buy? And they're like, well, because of this. And you can just resolve it, right? We can't do that when we're selling one many. So we do that by going out, knocking down the biggest core pillars that keep somebody from buying. If we do it correctly, they will run to the back room or run and go find a credit card and buy from you on your webinar. Okay. All right, so stack the close is the last 30 minutes. Okay, and the way that it works in a nutshell, I learned this from Armin Morin, and after watching people speak for years, Armin came up to me one time. I was supposed to speak at his event, and he said, if you change the way you do your close and you do what he's like, I call it stack. If you do stack, you make way more money. I was like, what's the stack? He said, well, most speakers try to sell something. What they do is they do a presentation. Like, okay, if you buy the first thing you buy is this, and the second thing you get this, and the third thing, walk through all the things you're gonna get, right? And they share the last bonus number 17, right? And they're like, and that's the last thing they share, and then they tell you the price of the product. And so what happens is your mind only remembers the last thing was told. So you have the price, like the most expensive thing, and it's associated to the last bonus. It's like the last bonus isn't worth the price. Then in fact, people's minds like, I don't know if it's worth it. I can't remember the other things, and then they just leave. They say no. So the way stack works is you introduce one part of your offer, right? And then you have a stack like, here's the first thing what's gonna be. Then you talk about the second part of the offer. Your stack says that means you can get this and this. And you go to number 3 thing. You say that means you can get this and this. And number 4 thing. So every single time you share part of the offer, you come back and you stack it. Boom, boom. So the very last time you have your full stack. Here's all the things you're gonna get in your offer, right? And then you reveal the price. So when they're associating the price with everything in the stack, not just the last thing you said. Okay, so that's the stack from there. And then you go to if all statements, a bunch of things you drop the price. Now, I'm not gonna, in this presentation, I'm not gonna go deep in the stack. There's another video here, it's members, right? It's like a 2-hour video. I'm gonna show you guys here in a second. It'll go through the stack in excruciating detail, show you guys how I do, why I do it, and all the psychology behind it. Right now, I want to show you that's the last part of the presentation is the stack and close. It's the last 30 minutes. When you're making a webinar, the very first slide I always create is my stack slide. Okay, if you see me selling, this is what stack looks like. Like when you sign up today, you get this, right? There's all the things that are in the stack. Okay, so this is the stack slide, and the whole presentation is the whole last 30 minutes is about introducing the stack slide in a way that increases the perceived value as high as possible. So when you tell them it's worth $30,000, you only charge $3,000, it seems like it's insanely cheap. Okay, and that's kind of the key here. Okay, so again, stack slides last 15 minutes. And if you look at like the ClickFunnels presentation, right, there's the first stack, right? And I tell them the second part of the offer. And then there's the second stack. I stack on things. And here's the third thing again. And I stack it, or fourth thing, and I stack it again. So keep stacking it, right? And go through the if all statements we'll talk about, and I close it down. That's kind of it. Okay. So I'm gonna end this video. I know we've been going now for over an hour. But I want to give you guys the first two core parts of this, right? The very first part is the framework and how to teach frameworks. It's so key to understand that because you, like in your business, you're gonna develop a lot of frameworks. In the perfect webinar, there's 3 frameworks you're sharing with people, right? And so there's how you teach them, right? And then again, in the perfect webinar, you take away step number 3. You don't teach them the tactics because you're selling the tactics. They're buying the course, they're buying the info product, they're buying the thing at the end where you're gonna give them the actual thing. They're buying the service from you. You actually fulfill on the tactics. But you're teaching them the strategies, which gets them excited. So they see the vision where they're going, right? They see social proof, now they desire it, they want it, and they're likely to buy from you. Okay. So that was the first thing with the framework, how to teach framework. The second thing was the perfect webinar framework. So those are the 2 things. That's how we create these presentations that have worked in literally every market you can dream of. Okay. And so the next thing I'm gonna give you guys is the stack slide presentation. And again, this is part of the presentation I gave at an event we used to call the FAT event, Funnel Hack Fun event. And I used to come at night. The second day of the event went till like 2 in the morning. I think come like midnight. From midnight till 2 in the morning, I would teach this part. So I seem a little loopy, that's why. But this is one of the best times when we caught the stack and all the details, all the intricacies, what we do, why they do it. And it was fun because like I would teach a thing, but I would go into character and actually do it like I was pitching and come back like this is what I did, this is why I did it. So you have chances to watch it, kind of see the behind the scenes of how the stack slide works and why it's so important for you to have as well. So that's kind of it for this video. Again, there's PDF that goes along with this and kind of break everything down for you guys. But I recommend if you really want to go deep in this, get the expert speakers web that walks through things in great detail. Make sure if you haven't yet done members, you should go get the upsells. If you missed them, get the PowerPoint slides. It makes it so much simpler. If you're on the PowerPoint slide, get the other upsells. Like we create all these things to go as much detail as possible to help you be successful. This is by far one of the greatest things we sell. The things that have the most success. Make sure you have all the ability to do it. And so make sure you get through all. Go through it. Hopefully you got all the training. If you haven't, go back and get it. Dive into all of it. One of the bonuses in one of the trainings was actually my presentation for the tech center. I did $3.2 million in sales. And I sit there, I go through for 3 hours, slide by slide. Like here's the slide. Here's what I did. Here's why I did it. And I go through the entire thing. There's a bunch of really cool things there to help kind of drill these things into your mind. There's some videos in there where literally I had people come and tell me their product. I sat down, I asked them a couple questions about the frameworks, the things, sat for a whiteboard, sat them down, I pitched their product for them. We have 4 or 5 videos of me doing that inside the members as well. And so much fun stuff. So anyway, I hope you guys like immerse yourself, dive deep into this, go through the product, understand the training, study it, because it's something that'll make you more money than probably everything I can give you is understanding the skill of persuasion and selling when you're selling one to many. So that said, thank you guys for watching the first part here in the webinar presentation. Like I said, go watch video number 2 now, where I'm walking through the stack and the close.
All right, there we go. So it's good that we watched that because I didn't realize that you don't include the, hold on, where's my document?
The tactics.
Yeah, you don't include the tactics. So that's very good to realize. Which totally makes sense because that's what you're selling.
Yeah, you're essentially, the whole thing is like an hour-long curiosity generator. You're hyping them up to believe, I need this thing, this is gonna solve my problems, but you don't tell them how it works. So it's like, I need to understand this process. You're leaving that loop open. I mean, it's literally how every good performing ad in clickbait, it's like gets tons and tons of engagement. It's like you open a loop and it's like, you'll never believe what this person said when this lady walked into the store. You know, it's like, what won't I believe? It's like you almost have to like click just because it's so, I mean, if it talks to a fundamental desire of like human curiosity, you sort of need to go on. I mean, most people just aren't paying that close attention. So it's like, well, obviously you asked this question, so you can't not tell me the answer.
Yeah,
That's what you're doing with the
I
sales.
love how this ties back into what we realized, like, I don't know, 4 months ago, when we realized that whole concept of like open and closing loops.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah,
this
and
is
I think,
exactly it.
yeah, and what he's doing with the perfect webinar is, I mean, there's a lot of things to do really well, I think. But you want to make it clear so they understand the point, but then that opens a loop that makes you want to go to the next thing. It's like building it from the same place that you would like write good copy. It's like each thing sells the next thing.
Mhm.
So it's like, I'm answering your question, but I'm opening another question. And so the answer to that thing is, well, this next thing that I'm going to tell you. So it's like, it continues to like draw your attention.
I'm thinking for now, we should just like follow this structure exactly and like build it out.
Yeah.
And once we have the first version built out, we should probably go and watch one of his actual webinars
Uh-huh.
and just like see like, all right, how is he doing this? Where is he doing this? And then we can see like, okay, he's doing this. We didn't do that. Let's go include that. And let me just go check because there's two other parts of the training. There's
Okay.
the one we just watched, then there's the stack and close. So we, for now, today, we can just focus on that first part of like intro and the 3 secrets.
Mhm.
And then tomorrow or whatever, like next time we're working, we can just focus on the stack. And yeah, okay, the last part is just the webinar funnel. So it's like we can go once we're done and we're like, all right, let's finish building out the funnel.
Okay. I'll be right back.
Bye. Okay, it's like, okay, you just stand up and walk off. That was funny. I'm assuming he's gonna come back at some point. 3 hours later. Would be kind of funny. Pears do not taste very good. I'm starting to think he either went to poop or he went to buy food, and I'll be sitting here like an idiot for half an hour. Nope, nope. Unless he's pooping while walking around. Hello.
Hey.
It was just funny how I was like, oh, this is what I suggest to do. You're like, okay, and you just stand up and walk away. I'm like, okay. So, I mean, here it's 1:17, which means over there it's 2:17. You want to like take a break, go eat something, because I know you were hungry before, and then we can come back and get to work.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
Like 15-minute break.
However long it takes, I guess we'll just message each other, and when we're ready, we can hop back on.
Cool. That's good.
All right. So I guess we'll end this and rejoin after.
All right.
Okay. See you soon.
Yeah.
You're the host. You have to end it. Or I can just leave.